you feel successful people don't gossip?
Successful people actually are extraordinary at keeping secrets. They gossip to know information. You will never see a wealthy person who's terrible at keeping secrets. The moment second, third generation who's not good at keeping secrets, the wealth will go away.
Were you good at keeping secrets from childhood?
I was good at keeping people's trust.
Tweet that you did. Fastest way to be called stupid in life is to have an opinion about power or politics. Why?
You will notice that people who talk a lot about politics are usually powerless in life.
What is your fear today?
Fear of poor. Nobody really wants to hang around with poor people.
You've also said somewhere, most Indians settle for average career. What's the truth about discipline and ambition? Because a lot of people think they're ambitious.
Most ambitious people will never say they're ambitious. They're just doing stuff, building stuff. They don't write all these tag words on their Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn. There are many people who are famous for being cringe. You won't respect them.
Do you have any insecurity? At times, even when you're doing everything right, something still goes wrong. Like you're all ready for a shoot, but you realize you forgot the mic. Or a teammate needs a document, but there's no one free to go drop it. These problems slow you down. That's why I use Porter. It helps me save time and effort by offering on-demand two-wheeler and truck delivery services for all small and big things as per my needs. Their instant pickup and reliable deliveries not only reduce effort, but also bring peace of mind. And it doesn't matter if you're a freelancer, a startup, or an established company, Porter se delivery hai, ho jayega. And our today's guest, Kunal Shah, founder of Cred, also agrees with this way of thinking. He doesn't just spot problems before other people. He questions why they exist and how he can fix them. In today's episode, he talks about what is his biggest fear right now. What is he chasing? Fame, power, or money? Can someone build ambition like a skill? Why are we not acceptable of failure as a society? How can a person go from being mediocre to earning a place with an A+ crowd? And why is being a trustworthy person a huge part of success? Watch this episode till the end and tell me in the comments, what did you learn from this conversation? Like my first big podcast, I was just telling my team.
Oh, is that true?
मेरा first, उसके पहले I've done 50-60 episodes.
हाँ.
कोई भी 100K views भी नहीं गए थे.
हाँ.
And yours was the first जो 100K से बाहर गया था. And I did it. And I remember the first line and we put it out in podcast as well. View में उस podcast में start होता है कि I'm nervous. And you tell me कि क्यों nervous हो रहा है? You remember it was in Cred.
Yes, I do remember. Yeah, but like it's like kudos to you, man. It is not. It is absolutely elite athlete level achievement what you've done. Pretty cool, man.
Thank you. It means a lot.
No, it is what it is. Like credit where it's due, man. This is extraordinary work.
Thank you so much.
And I can tell you, it may look easy from outside. I know. It must have been a nightmare getting to this place. How old are you now?
28.
That's even more commendable, man. Good stuff.
Thank you. Done. I'm actually happy. अच्छे note पे start कर रहे हैं. I was nervous because I'm a fan more than the Kunal Shah, the person. I'm fan of Kunal Shah, the person who tweets. कहाँ पे born and brought up? आप कहाँ पे हुए?
I'm actually born in Ahmedabad. My mom's from here, but I've always been here. So I was like raised.
Bangalore, Bombay.
No, Bombay only.
Okay.
Bangalore is only last
so Bombay
6-7
Hindi अच्छी होनी चाहिए ना?
Yeah, it's just that I never got like good at it.
Okay.
I can speak. It's not that I can't speak Hindi, but I know that I will struggle with words.
You think in English?
That's a good question. I don't know what language I think in.
But you read and consume everything in English.
No, ऐसा नहीं है. I do consume in multiple languages. It's just that I don't know what language do I think in. I think it's become a mixture now.
Okay. Is it work में English में सोचते हो और personal life में हिंदी में सोचते हो या family से जब बात कर रहे हो तो तब हिंदी में सोचते हो?
I don't know. Maybe I don't have conversations with myself when I'm thinking. Okay. I'm using just as a triggers. Then I go externally. That's a good question. Wow. Maybe I've stopped. Wow. I'm trying to think on which language I'm thinking. I'm not able to I think it's reached into some kind of a like language-less thinking approach now. It's just a more of like triggers, and I think it's multiple languages.
Okay. Multiple things together.
Yeah. It's like a full ADHD brain. So it's a little bit
Okay,
of that.
try to break it down for me. For example, let's say मैंने बहुत सारे आपके ट्वीट्स देखे हैं जो सोसाइटी पे हैं, बिहेवियर पे, ह्यूमन बिहेवियर, ऑल ऑफ दीस थिंग्स, राइट? तो यू सेड कि यू गेट ट्रिगर्स, कहीं पे कुछ ऑब्जर्व करते होगे, कोई वर्ड या कोई ट्वीट, एंड इट ट्रिगर्स समथिंग इन यू, लाइक ओके मेरा ये ओपिनियन है. व्हाट गोज ऑन? कुछ पढ़ा, उससे क्या होता है?
आई थिंक
स्टेप बाय स्टेप पे
एक्चुअली ओपिनियन comes after thinking about for probably months and years. I don't think एक कुछ observe किया and I get an opinion. I am observing and फिर एक pattern बनता है, and then I see the pattern being a larger pattern about something, and then I try to capture it in one sentence so that I can register it as a pattern, right? So example देता हूँ कि I observed कि जो भी चीज़ historically shameful थी, उसको normalize करने के लिए एक बहुत common method use किया गया था, is to convert that into pride.
Okay.
ठीक है? तो आप देखोगे कि जब cigarettes used to be back in the day something as a shameful behavior, so they showed Marlboro Man, this, that, pride, all of that, and then converted that into normalized behavior, right? If you see the recent times where we now accepted homosexuality as a thing, it went through a moment of first being proud about it, right? And like if you see the pride parades or whatever are a method. So you'll notice that anything about human beings that was historically shameful or treated shamefully converted into pride and then became normal. So it's an interesting thing that how this pattern repeats again and again and again. So I always observe these things and say, yaar, and then I see if it's true. So what I do is, agar ek pattern dekha, then I try to find more examples. Ki yaar, ye to bahut jagah ho raha hai. And now with ChatGPT, I can actually get 10 examples of it. And then you're like, oh, wow, like this is again and again and again repeating. So what I try to do is find observations, see if it's widespread, and then capture the essence ki kya chal raha hai.
See, because you're talking about observation and shame, one thing which is very shameful today is failure. When you fail in public, okay? And that probably is something that we need to, because I was reading bunch of your tweets, that is something that we need to get over in order to try more or maybe succeed as a society in a better way, right? How do you think that will happen? First, actually, why do you think failure is seen as a shameful event in our country?
See, the thing is, first of all, let's just understand how we are raised. There is this perpetual fear. Everybody is living in some version of fear. Society ka fear, exam ka fear, कि ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, फेल हो जाएंगे, एक साल मिस कर देंगे, ये हो जाएगा. And we also raise kids through fear कि if you do not do this will happen, ये नहीं होगा तो आपका ये नौकरी नहीं होगा, ये नहीं होगा, nobody will respect you, all of that stuff, right? So when your default state is fear, failure is the dreaded कि यार कुछ भी हो जाए ये नहीं होना चाहिए, right? And that causes the society to feel safe in some ways, right? But it is very common in the emotional societies. For example, आप COVID में देखेंगे, India was completely apathy में था और complete panic में था. कभी बीच वाला state था ही नहीं, right? You will notice one more thing, that Indians, when they rate an app, they will do 1 star or 5 star. ये 2, 3, 4 star नहीं करते हम, right? Because that's an emotional response. YouTube used to have earlier different ratings, if you remember, then it moved to up, thumbs up and thumbs down, right? Because that's how emotional reactions are, right? And that's exactly like, oh, I'm a fan, and then if they don't do well, oh, we'll hate, right? And therefore I often say that we like to create gods out of people and then do Visarjan of them, right? And that's how we feel okay about things, right? So I think what happens is, ये जो failure का part है, right, comes from what do we celebrate, right? Now, risky behavior historically resulted in you being left out in the society, and the society had no way to bring you up or whatever, and you would be like treated as somebody who has bad judgment. तो उससे ज़्यादा risk मत लो, simple चीज़ करो. For example, let's say our movement as a society from saving account to fixed deposits to investing in mutual funds to investing in stocks is a journey, right? And you will see that different communities and different societies, for example, business families had a very different relationship with money. Yeah. Because risk was innate. So you notice that they were the earliest to adopt the riskier part of life. True. Right? But when you see younger people, they are now adopting riskier things faster because their household is safe. For example, you did not have to think about khana kaise aayega. Fair. So your failure ability or your risk appetite changed materially. So next generation will be significantly much more attuned to failure because the failure doesn't mean khane ke paise nahi hai. Like I have had stages of life where I did not have money to eat, right? And you are literally, I would go, I remember like buying chana on credit, chana sing on credit. कि आज का खाना यही है, right? So that has a very different tolerance. Sometimes losing everything also makes you very good at failure, right? If you notice somebody that कोई अगर पोकर खेलता है जिसका छोटा स्टैक होता है वो पूरा टाइम ऑल इन करता है because it's so close to zero. Yeah. So you will see that people who have less money are doing more riskier behavior. What? Right? Like for example, people who are getting caught in investment scams, this, that, they're like, okay, small money, very small chalo, money. डाल के देखते हैं क्या होता है. वैसे भी zero है. So I think failure comes in a mixed thing, but culturally, we are a collectivist society. Collectivist society becomes simple है कि we operate as one unit. Yeah. Right? When we were, you would remember that your grandparents would tell you that हमारे सबके एक ही कपड़े आते थे and we used to wear the same shirt, right? But now, imagine trying to tell 3 cousins you're going to wear the same clothes. That's not okay. They have become individuals now, right? So as we move from, let's say, a non-individualistic society to individualistic, we will get to more failure, understanding choices, and so on and so forth. But there's another thing that is happening, which is preventing failure again, is people fearing their social media followers. Yeah. Right? That, let's say you are a young person and you have like managed to get 2,000 followers. In your head, you're already a celebrity. Raj, you will remember when you had 50,000 followers and you would get 40 likes, your reaction would be the same as today at millions of followers, right? The threshold has changed. Yeah. Right? But unfortunately, we get shaped by our audience, which is a problematic loop, right? For example, when I tweet, I am not thinking about likes. Because if I was thinking about likes, I know exactly how to get them. Yeah. I can say, अगर ये 5-6 themes को touch करो, ये कुछ emotions को capture करो, you will get consistently. But I write for myself, right? So you will see from a 50 likes to a 50,000 likes coming together, it's not consistent because I don't care about the audience. But what you will notice is that eventually everybody starts caring. And if you're a young person, you start thinking about the 2,000 followers. And what will they like? What will they judge me for? What are they going to think about me? And then your personality starts getting shaped through the views of these 2,000 people that you would otherwise not care about.
So that's becoming a problematic loop for society.
It's a very big trap because everybody is like trying so hard to differentiate now. Right? So पहले क्या होता था कि when I was growing up, social media, pre-internet, when I was in college, in my first year, second year, internet has not become big yet. Like a group of 10, you could be different in that. Right? अगर jeans पहन ले तो भी different हो गया था आप. Right? कि एक difference है. आपके पास black jeans है तो एक different हो गया था. But now, when you are being trying to be different with 2,000 followers, you have to find different way to be aesthetic. You have to find a different way to be cool. Travel to unique places that nobody has been to. Capture the same thing differently, right? Go to some music festival but take a very different clip of that music festival so that you feel cool, or you are closer to the stage or not closer to the stage to signal that, okay, I'm in the more important place or not, right? Capturing unique food so that you feel that, yeah, I try different things and so on and so forth. So this deep need to differentiate is frying people's brain, right? कि यार मेरा कुछ अलग हो जाए. Right? Like, for example, you are going and getting Vijay Mallya on the podcast is your breaking out of differentiation, right? It's a thing that is needed, because how would people find that, okay, what is the thing difference that you bring to the table?
Why do you think it's a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. It's just very taxing. It's not bad thing. I'm just saying, first of all, one thing we should avoid, Raj, is that categorizing things in good and bad. It's the simplest form of doing this.
Like
we should never do that.
Okay.
There is no such thing as good and bad. Everything has lots of nuance. Let's say if you have the capability to differentiate, by all means do it. Right? But if you do not have the capability and you're trying very hard, it is very mentally taxing.
But don't you think if you keep trying to do that, maybe you'll find a differentiator, and that will act as a proof for you in one area of life, which will help you in other areas of life as well?
Yes and no. Eventually what you will realize is that 99.9% of humans have non-differentiated. But they are now being told by all these people that you have to be different, right? And therefore we try to capture every trend. And say, okay, I'm going to be this. And if you look at fashion cycles, used to earlier take multiple years to get outdated. Now they get outdated very quickly, right? And what we call as fast fashion is nothing but, oh, somebody wore this, now it's everybody doing it, now it's gone in months, in weeks.
Yeah.
You saw the whole Labubu hype kind of go and crash in weeks. When I was growing up, some of these trends would last for a decade before it disappears. So we are hyper connected. So the cycles are moving very fast, and that is very hard for a lot of people to keep up. People like feel brain fried that, like, how do I keep up to this thing? So a lot of people choose to not showcase themselves at all. They become observers because they just accept that I can't keep up, right? I'm sure you feel overwhelmed that this is like I saw in your office, you put numbers of all these things that you want to achieve, and it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy to constantly keep breaking out and doing stuff. Obviously, you have to be driven differently to do this, but not everybody is driven differently. What I'm saying is that comparison, right? That, oh, I will never be this scale. I will never be that, right? For example, when I used to do my version of Cred Curious, I never cared about views. I was very curious.
Yeah.
Earlier, I used to do this privately for my team. Then my team was like, let's make it public. And it became popular, but I didn't care about the views because I was genuinely doing it for my own thing. But the moment you start thinking about those metrics versus your own curiosity, things change, right? Because now you know exactly, ये करने से views आएगा, ये करने से ये होगा, ये करने से ये होगा. What if you lose yourself in this? What if you realize that मेरा learning तो खत्म हो रहा है. अब now I am getting whatever will get me applause. Right? When a great actor starts doing stuff that will get gags and laughs from people because it gets views, it gets money, eventually they feel that void that I've stopped being a great actor. So, like, this is called the pandering to the audience. Like, you are eventually getting to a place where, oh my God, this is who I've become.
Yeah. You know, I'll talk about me a little bit and then we'll go back to the fear conversation. So what has really helped us is us not bothering about views during the conversation.
Perfect.
Like that, and I can tell you by far, every member in the team, we know this. When we prepare for a podcast, when we choose the guest and when we do the podcast, we give zero about views. We're like, okay. Sometimes we prepare 500 things and we end up talking about none because we're just curious and we are in the conversation, want to learn. That has really helped us.
That's good.
So that the only objective is, can we learn and understand something out of this?
Oh, that's perfect. As long as you do this consistently.
Like till now, in every conversation we've done this, what we do is once the conversation is out, like once this is done, like this job is done, Then we try to think, okay, now how do we make best out of whatever we've gotten? The process of views doesn't start before we've shot the podcast.
Perfect. That's actually quite cool. I think one topic to touch upon on fear is best people convert fear into curiosity.
What do you mean? Explain.
See, everybody has fear. It's guaranteed hai.
Agreed.
Some people have a very different reaction to fear. Most people have a reaction कि यार shut down, go in shell, not act. Small percent of people convert their fear into curiosity. कि देखते हैं क्या होता है, जाके देखते हैं, करते हैं.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say people who do adventure sport. Are they not fearful? They absolutely are. But there is this curiosity that takes over. They convert that fear into this weird curiosity. कि करके देखते हैं.
Yeah.
And it appeals to them. That risk, that curiosity appeals to them so much. And they continue to do well. Right? कि करके देखते हैं. क्या हो जाएगा. Right? And that actually allows them to propel forward in life, right? So converting fear to curiosity, where you're like, oh my God, let me see. Like there is this weird thing that attracts you. Risk attracts you, right? Like a lot of people like talk about Elon Musk and say that he has no ability to process risk. And it's probably true. The kind of stuff that he constantly does, you're like, I can't believe that the guy is doing this, right? But there is this natural attraction to risk with judgment, right? See, if you're just attracted to risk, you can also be called a gambler. कि यार इसको खाली attraction है risk से, but जीतता कुछ नहीं है. But the moment you combine the judgment ability with risk tolerance or risk attraction, you will see those guys do well.
True. Don't you feel most people who are successful, quote unquote, in different ways, don't you feel they are more driven out of fear of inefficiency or fear of not being at a place where they come from or where they are today? So it's mostly the fear which is driving them to change. So in some cases, fear is actually really helping people to move forward, not in terms of attraction or curiosity, but just in feel of, I don't want to be suffocated by staying in that one place.
I think it's not always fear they are escaping. They are just escaping. So there are different things people escape.
Okay.
Right? People are escaping their trauma. People are escaping their circumstances. People are escaping their fear. People are escaping their identity. People are escaping their country. People are escaping their society. People are escaping their relationships. Escaping drives people, right? Fear is just one of them. But you will notice one thing that most successful people are some version of OCD. They are repeating this pattern again and again and again and again and again without any drive coming from outside.
Yeah.
Right? They are self-fueling mechanism. They don't need motivational speakers, by the way.
True.
Right? You will never see driven people driven by motivational speakers. Right? So almost a reverse trend. People who need motivational speakers are unlikely to be driven. Right? And which is, if you think about it, is a business breaking line to make. But the thing is that people who are escaping something, they don't have time for motivational speakers. They just want to just be at it. Imagine the best athlete. Imagine the best entrepreneur. They are just at it. They're escaping. They're escaping their irrelevance. They're escaping their current state. They are feeling inadequate. Right? I have met many successful people. Everybody is like, yaar, kuch bhi nahi kiya achieve life. Like, shit, I have done nothing. I have become irrelevant. I have done this. I have not understand this. I have no understanding of AI. I'm this and that. They are just like driven in a very weird manner.
Yeah.
Right? And they're always escaping something, escaping their status quo mostly. Right? And what drives them is the OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder almost, right? And now we say these words in form of disease and illnesses, but the thing is, it's a state.
Yeah.
Right? If you see ever, and I would encourage like a lot of people to find a way to observe an elite athlete training. Like you will see something very different, right?
What have you observed?
For example, their consistency to do something for 3, 4, 8 hours a day, which is physically taxing, right? And there is nobody's enjoying that. Nobody's enjoying that.
Yeah.
You can see, but that drive to just be at it, and almost that they can't live without that.
Don't you think that's fear of not being able to live up to potential, or maybe fear of being average?
It's not always fear. Some people are driven through their trauma. There is no fear. They're just traumatized and they want to escape that trauma. They want to escape that feeling of being alone sometimes. Sometimes people are workaholic because if they are left alone to themselves, they'll be fearful about meeting themselves.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to understand that these things are driven from multiple places. Sometimes you're also in the company of driven people and that drives you. Right? We are always the average of 5 people we spend time with.
You believe it?
Absolutely believe it. Right? And therefore, a lot of people who are growing find it hard to keep the same friends. Now that's a problematic line for most Indians. कि हाँ बहुत बड़ा हो गया, अब तो हमारे साथ मिलता भी नहीं है, बात भी नहीं करता. And we are very fearful of that line.
Yeah.
But that is likely to happen.
Why do you think we are fearful?
Because we are a collectivist society that like we have to meet everybody's expectation. See, back before social media, it was impossible to keep up with all the friends.
Yeah.
You move to a different city, somewhere else. You move to a different country, something else. Now with social media, like you are connected to everyone. सबको happy birthday कर रहे हैं, right? सबको कुछ कर रहे हैं. Earlier it was impossible to do. We would evolve into the circles we were spending time with.
Yeah.
But social media has this weird thing of keeping us grounded to the same realities. But it's hard to keep up because you only have 24 hours, right?
Do people tell you
what?
That you have changed or you have grown or you have...
I'm sure they do, but I have a very selective filter on what I hear in life. Because for me, I'm always going to be there for people who need me. But my time is something that I protect. Because that's the currency you and I or anybody else has very less of. Right? Often, sometimes it's easier to help somebody need something, but giving time consistently, right? I think we have to be all in environments which is constantly growing us, right? For example, the reason I am not in favor of work from home, which is a very problematic topic, is all the growth happens in the company of people you keep, not about working somewhere. If you worked from home and you chose to be around 5 really smart people at your home who are working along with you, I'm all for work from home. Where you will discuss something at lunch, discuss something at dinner, discuss something while playing a game with them, and you're constantly making each other better, then by all means work from home. But if you are going to be in a place where, Arey yaar, I'm avoiding commute, I'm avoiding this, मेरा rent बच गया, मेरा rickshaw और taxi का पैसा बच गया, you've made a terrible decision for your life. Because remember, all the times we learned was in the company of great people, right? And you're like, oh my God, when we reflect on what these guys said, oh, she said something so interesting, or he said something so interesting, and I'm like, wow, like it hit me.
Yeah.
Right? And that becomes your system.
True.
But now, I don't know, me spend more time with reels and shorts than really good people. And therefore now you meet almost everyone, they are like the last 10 reels that they have watched. Like that's their average personality right now. That is not good. Because if you ask them, ek niche ek line uske upar, there is no substance.
Yeah. That is so true. That is so true. You know, you tweeted something about it. You said, mediocre people often have a clear tell. You'll often see them hanging out with other mediocre people, probably because the A+ folks avoid them. Now, when you said that most of the people are average of the 5 people they hang out with, and if you come from a mediocre background and you're a mediocre person in there, how do you break out of this? How do you go to the A plus category because A plus folks are avoiding them?
Yeah. First of all A plus folks feel they're mediocre. I don't think if the mediocre people feel they are mediocre. That's number one. Number two is it's a relative term, right? There is no categorization that ye A plus ye mediocre, right? It's a spectrum. Like, and we all know there's a ranking system that exists on human beings. For example, if we have to rank Kunal and Raj on understanding of content, you would be like miles ahead of me, right? On some topics, I would be miles ahead of you. And that's what humans are, right? For example, if both of us have to think about who's the best person to understand cars, maybe it's not us. It's a friend of ours who's very, very good at it.
Yeah.
And they're miles ahead. So there is a spectrum in each of these things. But anybody who's excellent at anything is not accidentally excellent at anything. Nobody's gifted to be, I am good at cars or I'm good at content, right? It happens because they are obsessive about this and get there, right? Now, if you're in a company of people who obsess about anything, you learn something from them.
True.
You meet a musician, you meet an athlete, you meet a startup entrepreneur, you meet somebody who's building great content the way you're doing, and you'll always learn, right? And is that the relationship? What I'm saying is that if a relationship is not teaching you something, but are only validating you, then growth is limited.
How do you find these people who teach?
They always exist. I think people who make us uncomfortable are a good set.
That's a good filter.
Right? Because if you think they're right but it offends you, that's the exact person to spend time with.
Yeah.
But what we do is we judge the tone of their feedback. I don't judge tone of feedback of anyone. Anybody who mocks me or takes a shot at me or whatever, and if they have some good lesson, I will only remember the lesson. I will not remember what the tone was, and I will not even remember who the person was. But people have, so I often say this, but I'll repeat it, like people have substance and their own perception about themselves. Jab ye gap bada wide hota hai, it's easiest to offend people.
Yeah.
Right? Aur ye gap chota hai, to offend nahi hote log. Right? But this gap exists only when you have not improved this part. Right? For example, if you told me that, Kunal, you are so old, right? Yeah, I am older to you, so it's a fact. How can I be offended by that? But a lot of people get offended by these words, right? I often say that, Kunal, so if somebody calls you overweight, but that's a fact. On all mathematical ways, that's the right answer. But if I'm like, cancel. So I think we have reached a point where we have taken so much pride in being offended. The good news is you put content out there of being offended, you get too many likes.
Yeah.
So you think it's a great quality to have. So you see so many people on social media are perpetually putting their outrage out there of being offended. Because multiple people are like, I also agree with this. And then they want to be part of that tribe.
Yeah.
But the really good people or people who are growing people or compounding people have no time to mock someone or be offended by someone. They're too busy achieving what they need to achieve.
They don't care.
Right? Like I often say that if you bark back at a dog, are you a dog? It's as simple as that.
You tweeted something on this. All mockery is accepting lower status.
Yeah, it's funny, right? But we will never mock somebody who's lower status than us. Imagine you are meeting with friends and you are mocking your staff who drives you. Have you ever seen that behavior? But we all get together and mock our bosses, mock politicians, mock somebody, because it allows people to create a tribe. कि थोड़ा gossip करेंगे, mock करेंगे तो दोस्ती बनेगी हमारी. But that's a very cheap way to build bonds.
But most people do that and they cherish it. Why?
But most people are also not successful, no?
You feel successful people don't gossip?
They gossip for a very different intent. They gossip to know information.
Interesting.
Or improve their intelligence about something. It's not their need.
Yeah.
Successful people actually are extraordinary at keeping secrets. You will never see a wealthy person who's terrible at keeping secrets.
Agreed.
You will say, isko bol diya, ye aage nahi transfer hoga. They become the hoarder of asymmetric insights and therefore you create trust with them. Think about all your friends that you say, "Arey, to usko bolega to aage ho jayega." You can't trust them. They might be fun, entertaining to go out with. But you would not share very intimate information with them that can be damaging to you.
Yeah. That is so true. You share certain insights with people who you trust and who can keep secrets. And they're often the people who are at the higher status than you, or maybe in the group.
Or are likely to be more successful in the future as well.
Likely to be more. You saying people who are able to keep secrets at a young age are likely to be more successful in future?
So let's just break all the people who are very successful or wealthy at least are going to be somebody who are extraordinary at keeping secrets. Right? Which means they don't feel the need कि जो पता चला उसका content बना के आगे दे दिया.
Yeah.
Right? Most people, the way they remain interesting is to gossip. कुछ content मिला and they have to tell people about it. And that's how they remain interesting. Right? Some people, you share something with them, you know कि आगे नहीं जाएगा. They hold it. Now, I'm not saying that this cohort is likely to become successful because there are other factors that come into being successful, but you will rarely see somebody who's successful who doesn't have this trait.
Okay. No. Fair. So all wealthy people are good secret keepers. That's what you're saying. So it's like a first level, first
In
phase.
fact, what you will see is that the moment second, third generation who's not good at keeping secrets, the wealth will again go away. It's
Have you
like
seen
wealth. Yeah, wealth is like flows forward.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, you will see it. Observe it next time. Like the second, third generation is not good at keeping secrets, the money will flow through them.
Were you good at keeping secrets from childhood?
I think I was good at keeping people's trust.
Explain.
When people share secrets and they can feel the trust that was not going to be used against them, you become trustworthy. So it's not about secrets, it's about being more trustworthy.
Yeah.
Most wealthy people will always have a strong correlation of being trustworthy. Right? And I'm not saying they are generally trustworthy, but they are specifically trustworthy. For example, banks will trust them, investors will trust them, employees will trust them. Right? So I think I was always the person who people knew that the gossip would not move forward. I would never encourage it. I would never I would treat this as a mark of respect that somebody shared something with me.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like being a goldsmith. That if people are storing gold with you,
Then it's.
you have to be somebody that they can be trusted with.
But what's the difference? Let's say you told me you had this when you were pretty young. People of your age, people in your group might not have this trait. What was the difference? What do you think is
I
different?
think it probably helps to be an introvert. Like you're not trying to be interesting.
But a lot of people try to be interesting.
I know.
That's one of the things that society rewards also.
Exactly. But I'm saying that if that being interesting comes by being the superconductor of information, यहाँ से मिला उस पे मसाला डाल के आगे बढ़ाया, right? It's unlikely to be creating respect. You'll be liked.
Agreed.
So I think the key metric is people are mostly trying to be liked, not respected. All social media has made likes happen. Respect kahan hai?
Why do you think people want to be liked more than they want to be respected? Because when you ask people, everybody will say they want to be respected, but their actions tell you otherwise.
It's about how we shape the society. right? Respect is a long-term behavior, like is a short-term behavior, right? Can I do one thing and be respected? No. But I can make a nice joke and I can be liked by your entire office.
Yeah.
So the world is becoming more and more short-term and less long-term.
Why?
Because the society is rewarding that right now. But every now and then the society corrects itself.
Okay.
Then we realize, oh, shit, we can't be short-term. We have to become long-term. Right? Imagine the human invention of monogamy, relationships, marriage came from realizing, oh my God, we can't be short-term. It's not good for society. Look at religion. Every religion only does one thing. Makes you not do short-term behavior and make you do long-term behavior. Across any religion.
Yeah.
Tribal religion to organized religion, any country, any state. Don't do short-term behavior, do long-term behavior. So that's the core thing. Every human realizes ke, and how do you think religion got invented? Because they must have seen that humans are not doing well. Right? For example, do not steal. Because it causes a cycle of retribution and destruction, violence, deaths, all of that stuff. So do not steal is be more long-term. In fact, every human behavior that we consider as bad behavior is nothing but a short-term behavior. Now, where does the short-term behavior come from? Right? We have two brains, the neocortex and amygdala. Amygdala is the fight or flight animal brain, as we call it, or the lizard brain, which is designed for short-term. In fact, all the joyful stuff that we experience is coming from the short-term brain.
Yeah.
Right? Being long-term makes us successful, makes us wealthy, makes us wise, makes us achieve long-term success, makes us healthy, builds our muscle, builds our reputation. All of that comes from there. In fact, that is the brain that tells the short brain to behave.
Yeah.
Calm down.
And it keeps getting strengthened the more you do it.
Practice it. But the thing is that the more we encourage the smaller brain to become the boss. And therefore you'll see people who have not very long-term about things, they are either very happy or very sad.
Yeah.
They have like extreme emotions.
Yes.
Right? But people who are more neocortex oriented, they'll say they are more balanced in both the situations. In fact, you will see that a lot of the stimulants or rather sedatives that we have are to suppress the neocortex. We are happier and giggly when we have alcohol. Right? And that's exactly what it is. To suspend the long-term mind. And therefore, we are likely to do more short-term behavior when we are drunk. Or under some kind of a influence.
So overall, society is rewarding this. How do we change it?
It's very hard. Society will have to realize the mistakes of it. It takes decades sometimes. And we'll realize, oh my God, what have we done? Then we become slightly more conservative about things. We become more long-term about things.
When did you realize that you need to be long-term, not short-term?
I think when you see, like for example, when the family went through financial crisis and I realized ki yaar kuch short-term behavior caused this for the whole family, right? You just start thinking that you need to do something more long-term in nature, right? And what I realized that what was long-term is skill, reputation, trust, wisdom, wealth, health, and just thinking more and more about these things, right? Mattered early on in life because I was never having the luxury. I had no money to hang out with young friends and go for a party or being able to afford a trip. Like I didn't have the money for anything. I probably must have taken a trip abroad for fun after many, many, many years. I was your age or slightly younger when I had done a lot of work to build first something. And I think that, for example, we were thrown from our houses to a chawl. So I was the one who actually bought a house on home loan before I traveled abroad for a vacation. But the younger generation is doing the exact opposite. Because they have the support of somebody's house that they know at least my parents' house is there, or I can go back to their house or whatever. I didn't have any of that. So I think sometimes not having anything long-term forces you to become long-term.
You said most of us who are driven, they're escaping something. Were you escaping something?
Yeah, escaping
Fear of being broke or poor?
See, when you're also poor, when you suddenly become poor in your family, you will start seeing everybody distancing from you. Friends, family, nobody really wants to hang around with poor people. Especially if you have become poor through your own choices. And like people try to keep you there, but like you know that they don't like want to really hang with you.
Yeah.
And that drives you that, okay, you cannot be that, right? And you're escaping that in some ways. But I think it becomes eventually the OCD that you want to continuously escape only, right? You're always thinking about, I need to escape even more and further and further and further. And it drives you.
So what is your fear today? Or what is escape? What is something that you're escaping today?
I think my fear always remains in that if I don't understand things. For me, not understanding how things work and becoming better at things that I don't have an understanding of is what drives me. Fear of irrelevance. What if I don't understand the younger generation? Right? Like what if I don't see what they're doing and understand their patterns? For example, how is AI going to shape our behaviors? I'm very, very interested in that. Right? Because this is the norm. We not realize it, but maybe a large majority of people are already having some version of relationship with their AI.
Yeah.
And that shapes humans differently. For example, let's say you are a male or female and you have a more fulfilling relationship with your ChatGPT. What if you find human relationships to be suboptimal?
Highly possible.
What will happen to human society then? Like, if you don't think about these things, you're unlikely to do something about it or be aware of it before it happens. See, if you have the mindset of having less and less surprises about life, it'll require you to constantly be aware about things.
But why is this need to understand this thing? Why is this need to predict or try to find a problem which is not there yet, but might become a problem? What drives you to actually कि कल पे अगर relationship लोग AI से बनाएंगे तो मैं क्या करूँगा?
I think what will you do with it? For example, can you build a business with it? Can you understand something? Can you create something? For example, when we made our ads for the first time and they broke the standard format of how ads were done and credit ads became the standard of doing things, we realized that people were done with the same format of ads, right? And you had to do something that makes them come awake and notice and want to watch it without being interrupted. And content versus ad, that mindset. So you need to understand that the world is getting bored, right? For example, I had written something multiple years ago that people will find it very hard to watch movies because they are addicted to short dopamine cycles now. And I had tweeted like many years ago that we almost feel like a meditation to watch a movie now, right? And to predict that trend and say, abhi iska kya hoga, right? For example, the new format of short drama is taking off right now. It's nothing but people watching a movie with 25 breaks. If you ask an average person, how many times did you pause to finish a Netflix movie? The answer may be 25, 30. So they're anyways watching a movie like a short series.
Yeah.
Right? To continuously watch without being distracted, without being on your phone for 2 hours is getting harder. Almost impossible. In fact, I'm worried how movies are going to do well now because people find it very, very hard. In fact, I know that multiple OTTs are telling content creators that please make content that people can watch along with being on their phone.
Yeah.
So how do we make money from this now? So I see movies becoming grander than it affords for you to pay attention. So the movie budgets have to go crazier, and you make a superhero movie and fantasy mythology movie, and like you have to really raise the level. A regular story that used to be big hits before, unlikely to work now.
So you love to understand these patterns and
Make
behaviors.
sense of them.
And then make sense of them. So maybe it will turn into an insight for you to build a business, or it's just awareness about society and it gives you a kick that, oh, I understood it.
I understood it as a bigger kick. Uska use kar diya to business ban jayega.
Okay.
Right? But
just understanding
it's not that, for example, when we started our chat, I was asking you about how you're doing things. And not that I'm going to ever come and compete in the business, but I have to understand how are you getting it right? If you have managed to get from X amount of revenue to 1000x of that revenue right now, kaise hua? What do people like? What do people share? What causes a reaction? What makes people come back again and again? What kind of people come? I have to understand. And I do that not for you. I will meet a musician and ask the same question.
I know.
I would ask Rahul Dravid the same question when I've met him. Ki yaar, kya ho raha hai? What are the new athletes all about? Right? And I'm always asking on why people's world work the way they work.
Yeah. I remember you asked me first time as well. क्यों कर रहा है? क्या long term क्या करेगा? अच्छा ये कैसे? Long term होगा कि नहीं होगा? कैसे होगा? क्या सोच के कर रहा है? Like all of these, I remember that.
Yeah.
So you do this. Do you think it's the primary trait or a fundamental trait for a lot of young people to become successful?
No.
Asking questions?
No. I think understanding things is more important than asking questions. One method of understanding things is asking questions.
Okay.
There are other ways to do that. For example, now ChatGPT is a much more efficient method to understand things, and your medium of understanding things may be that. But sometimes counter questioning, for example, there are different ways to use ChatGPT. For example, if I ask ChatGPT that, please rate me on 10 on the quality of questions I've asked you so far amongst all the people. Most likely, it will tell you, "Aap to amazing ho." But if I asked, can you tell me what are the 5 ways I can ask better questions compared to the top 1% users on this platform? Help me identify the gaps. Much better answer. One is validation seeking. Second is feedback seeking.
Growth seeking.
Growth seeking. Blind spot seeking. It's extraordinary at blind spot seeking. For example, if you meet somebody for an interview and you convince them that I would like to record this interview for my own learning, and recorded the whole thing and asked the AI that, what are the 10 things I sucked at? It might tell you, tum question hi nahi sunte theek se. You have this anxiety to answer quickly, which you will not observe in yourself. I believe every single person should have an AI auditor of their behavior consistently.
Wow.
Imagine a coach. Imagine you have a 400 IQ tool in your pocket और उससे हम grammar fix करवा रहे हैं.
How do you use it? Give me one example.
No, this is one example. So what I do is I put
something that helped you, something that gave you feedback and you fixed on it. And
multiple
you
things
all the time. To the best.
All the time. Yeah. Observing my interviews, I'll say, did I do a good job of interviewing? Did I actually ask the right questions? Did I listen to the candidate or interrupted them too much?
Job interview.
Yeah, when I'm interviewing people. Then I've asked to observe something that I've written as a strategy and say, what are the things that I've not thought about? I've used it in manners where I've said that let's say I'm this MBTI, I'm ADD. Can you convert this document for somebody who's this MBTI and this ADD and make me readable for me. Amazing.
Nice.
It makes it exciting for you to read the same document.
Nice.
I have done things where I would have a hypothesis and put the hypothesis out there. For example, I'll tell you one recent example. I had a feeling that all the countries that had extreme weather became great at planning, and people who do not have extreme weather are not good at planning. Because extreme weather forces you to have long-term thinking. राइट खाना स्टोर करके रखना है, आज स्नो होने वाला है तो प्लान करना है. कंट्रीज एक्सट्रीम वेदर जहाँ पे नहीं होता वो सब नहीं सोचते ये सब चीज़ें. देन आई नोटिस दैट दोज कंट्रीज ऑल्सो हैव अ वेरी यूनिक ट्रेट ऑफ नॉट वेयरिंग wide range of colors. So people with extreme countries, extreme weather do not have very colorful color palette in their clothes. So when you go to countries, let's say Russia, you will see like only 6 shades. But if you go to a place in Gujarat, like vibrant colors in their shirts. And then I noticed that further that they are also less likely to be emotionally expressive.
Countries with extreme
weather and people who have less colors. And so I made this compound hypothesis and put it out there in ChatGPT. Said, can you rate this on 10 and tell me 5 ways this may be wrong? Then it helped me sharpen कि यार this is looking like 8 on 10. 2 on 10 इसलिए नहीं है because ये 3 जगह एग्जाम्पल है कि यहाँ पे एक्सट्रीम वेदर है लेकिन तो भी कलरफुल कपड़े पहनते हैं. प्लानिंग ये है वो है. And then I made one more hypothesis that it also makes them more wealthier. So high per capita comes from countries who are better at planning.
Interesting.
But in the past, per capita income was higher in countries which were more resourceful and had less extreme weather. So if you go back in history, all the countries with less extreme weather were more prosperous because that causes the agricultural yield to be better. And all the technological innovation which drives planning and efficiency came in countries with extreme weather.
Long term versus short.
And what I noticed is that many languages of countries with non-extreme weather does not have the word efficiency in their language. Give me an example. Which country? All the countries which are not extreme weather.
One example, put it up.
Many Asian countries does not have word efficiency does not exist in their language.
Hindi mein?
And there's a human thing that we only act or feel a word when we know the word.
Yeah.
Or it exists in our vocabulary.
Very interesting. This is how you use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm impressed. Like, this is so cool. I'm going to do that. Pretty sorted. Okay, coming back to the conversation of, we were talking about short-term, long-term escapism, fear, right? I want to ask you, is there, because you're talking also about wealthy countries and weather extreme countries and all of these combinations, it's just a very basic question which is coming out of my head. And it's like, why do you think most people, they work really, really hard in whatever country they are, still they remain poor?
It's a great question. I think the frame to apply is, what does your work solve? Right? If I'm a surgeon that is extraordinary doing bypass surgery, I work for a few hours and I make a lot of money. Because the problem I solve is almost life and death.
Yeah.
With a very high chance of somebody dying. But let's say I did some work which does not solve a large problem. In fact, बहुत जन कर सकते हैं. Then it's unlikely to create more wealth. So, what does it solve? And what do people value at? For example, let's say both of us get together and build a company that's going to solve बच्चों की हाइट बढ़ जाएगी 3-4 इंच in a healthy manner. We found a technology or a medication or some Ayurvedic medication जिससे ये होता है. We'll become very wealthy.
Very, very wealthy.
Because it's a problem that people care a lot about. But let's say we build something that is, by the way, we'll become very wealthy, but it's a very hard problem. Matlab, sometimes we'll have to give 15-20 years with no chance of success
To solve that problem.
to solve this problem, and therefore it will not achieve anything. But let's say you are doing a lot of hard work and I don't know, providing XYZ service that बहुत जन करते हैं, and you could be easily replaced. Nobody cares कि इससे करो कि उससे करो, फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Right? You will not be able to make more money. ऐसा नहीं कि hours कम हो रहा है. Right? And therefore, it's about what comes out of that achievement. For example, software engineering was very hard to learn and made a lot of money. And a lot of people did software engineering because of that. But let's say if AI comes around and makes the top software engineer 10x more productive, which means they don't need as many people, that profession may not make the same amount of money. But for some people, it makes them crazy amount of money. Same thing for doctors. Some doctors will become 10x using AI. Right? So we have to think that way. If hard work resulted in stuff, right? For example, let's talk about your podcast, right? A lot of people are doing it.
Exactly.
In fact, I firmly believe there are more people building podcasts than listening to podcasts.
It's a joke for a long time, yeah.
But I do believe that, and because it almost feels like a good status thing to do, right? But what you do to get you to the top 50 in the world is very different, right? Nobody knows exactly what are the things that you do. And sometimes you can't even explain. If you ever started a course on how to build successful podcasts, I can tell you it will not be successful. Because you can't even explain many things that you've internalized in yourself. For example, I invest in startups. I write a book on how to pick good ideas to invest in. I will not be able to explain it.
Why?
It's so internalized that you don't even know what the lessons are.
So how can somebody build this? How can they learn?
Constant iteration. Think of yourself as an app. Okay? If you are an app, apps have two things: features and bugs. You have to enhance the features. क्या लोगों को ये अच्छा लगता है तो इसको अच्छा और अच्छा करता है. ये चलता नहीं है, इसको फिक्स करता है, निकाल देते हैं बग्स को और रिलीज करता है वापस. जब रिलीज करोगे आप, वापस कोई नए फीचर्स आएंगे, कुछ नए बग्स आएंगे. आपने लिस्ट बनाया, उसको फिक्स किया. जो सक्सेसफुल होते हैं उनका साइकिल ऑफ रिलीजिंग द एप्स इज मच फास्टर.
But isn't it driven out of then public validation?
Not really. It's about truth seeking on what is causing what.
How do you differentiate between truth seeking and validation? Because let's say you're an app.
For example, if you ask people, do you want to be healthy? सर्वे में सबका आंसर आएगा 100 on 100.
Yes.
Are you doing something about being healthy? उसमें बोलेंगे 100 on 100. Actually देखोगे कोई कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. So you have to look at data and instincts. Because so many health startups fail because कोई motivation ही नहीं है लोगों का. See, wealth happens when you take something that people are truly motivated by and make it easy to do. ठीक है? Wealth gets destroyed when you keep making something easy that nobody cares about. And that's the thing.
So most people remain poor because they are A, not working on making themselves irreplaceable, and B, they are not creating something so valuable which a lot of people are motivated to get easily.
Or will pay a lot for. How much would you pay for a health situation of your family member improving versus couriering from Bombay to Bangalore? So
Very
there's a range.
huge difference.
There's a range. Think about human motivation as some Gangotri. Okay? At the core, जहाँ से शुरू थी Gangotri, it's basically simple. We want health, prosperity, status for ourselves and our family members. All the things we do can be answered in this.
Yeah.
ठीक है? उसके बाद वो रिवर आगे बढ़ते बढ़ते कुछ और बनती है और बनती है और बनती है और बनती है, right? And businesses are nothing but building dams on each of these streams. Sometimes the stream is small, sometimes the river is bigger, sometimes you're building at Gangotri. For example, when I told you about the height thing, तो गंगोत्री पे डैम लगा दिया.
हाँ.
Straight.
Big problem. Yeah.
तो बहुत पैसा बनेगा.
But कुछ लोग रेगुलर काम करके जो सब लोग कर रहे हैं वहां पे भी जीत जाते हैं and they end up making shit tons of money.
Not necessarily. They might find a very differentiated thing to do within that, right? For example, nobody's caring about that sector. Let's say you are, I don't know, becoming extraordinary building avocado. And nobody has figured it out yet. And you are realizing it's a big trend. आपने बनाना शुरू कर दिया and you become the 80% market shareholder of avocado. So it became big. It's a regular avocado grow कर रहा है. क्या है इसमें? मतलब खेती कर रहा है. But खेती of a product that people are willing to pay higher price for.
In a way which makes you more money.
Correct.
So it boils down to just what's your differentiator.
Or what do people value? What do people value? And are they valuing it at that point of time or is likely to sustain? For example, let's say you do something that is a hype. It'll die away.
And how do you identify what's hype and what's something that's going to stay forever?
Because what are people doing it for temporarily demonstrating status or something that people will truly value? For example, we talked about Labubu as like a temporary way of showing that I am part of a unique status tribe. Or height, which is a long-term sustainable thing, right? Health.
But again, height is also status.
Not necessarily. It's going to be long-term. This will not be a long-term thing because something else will become a trend. Height will not replace in the trend.
No, I get that. But what I mean, the ultimate emotion which is getting solved is status.
Ultimately, everything is either of those three things I told you, right? It's some version of social status, prosperity, and personal well-being, which is health.
So what's going to give you long-term of this or short-term of this?
Short-term of this. That's the way to think about it. But there are nuances to that. For example, let's say I built a lamp company, right? It gives a status in some ways, but it makes me feel that I'm a unique person. Let's say I have a nice coaster over here. It feels different. So लोग बोलेंगे अरे क्या बढ़िया आदमी है, मतलब क्या taste है इसका, whatever. But with enough people will care about it. Right? But if I was doing a bypass specialization, less people will care about it because everybody is going through that.
Yeah.
So it's about multiplying the utility value of something and the audience size and their net worth to be able to afford it.
But okay, so this is basic that people need to understand. Right? Another basic is a lot of people want to get rich. A lot of people also admire and worship people with money. But they secretly pray also for their downfall. Right?
Not everywhere.
I'm talking about, let's say, a country like ours. Because you've also, again, I think you've tweeted somewhere ki इंडिया में लोगों को भगवान बनाना बहुत अच्छा लगता है, फिर वो भगवान बना के विसर्जन करना भी उन्हें बहुत अच्छा लगता है, राइट? सो पीपल आर समवेयर, they worship rich people, yet they're praying for the downfall, or they enjoy the downfall. Why?
So the thing is, there are two ways to achieve status, right? Either I get ahead of someone, or I wait for them to come to my level. It's very simple, right? So when we see some people who look to be extraordinary to become ordinary like us, it just gives us a sense of relief कि same ही है, right? For example, we like to know gossip about their personal life so that we feel कि ये तो अपने जैसा ही है. In fact, a lot of successful people also demonstrate कि मैं आपके जैसा ही हूँ, so that you feel like अरे यार ये तो अपने जैसा ही है.
But why do they wait for them to fall, or like at least find faults?
It's not about that. It's just that you have to find something that gives you relief in some ways, right? कि you feel कि यार they are not special, and it's okay. See, what I'm saying is that people who are trying to be successful don't care about these things, right? If somebody has done something and achieved something, and even if they become ultimate failures, the lessons are still invaluable. So are you interested in lessons or not? Right? If you're interested only in their final status, then we are less likely to be interested in the lessons of that. And
Which is the case in most of the cases.
Yeah, but we can shape that. For example, I've often mentioned that we built no successful documentaries or movies about successful achievers on what their journey was, especially entrepreneurs, right? But we have movie about every scamster, gangster, all of that, because it's exciting. Can we just make it more powerful by just demonstrating these stories, right? For example, you'll feel a lot more content about Western entrepreneurs. You will see story about everyone.
Yeah.
And we read their autobiographies, all of that. But यहाँ पे नहीं है. And that often tells me that that ये इसलिए नहीं, because शायद इसकी need अभी तक नहीं है शायद. We might change that, right? Maybe someone like you will produce a movie and or make a documentary series, and you might identify a new customer need that the current world is not identifying, and create that. Because if that starts happening, we will automatically get really changing on what we care about, right? We will care less about, oh, this guy up, down, whatever. We'll just care about, yaar, this is a good lesson. For example, if you read a story about how Spotify founder convinced music labels to join forces, it's a great lesson. अभी Spotify का क्या हुआ, successful हुआ, नहीं successful हुआ, डूब गया company, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? The lesson was, how did they solve a difficult problem?
यहाँ वो नहीं होता है, इतना ज़्यादा चलता नहीं है तो
because we are not, we are more interested in content than being successful, no? So stories are more interesting.
Why do you think it's like that?
Because
successful gossip or entertainment.
Yeah, because how are we respected in our community? By being more interesting sometimes.
Going back to the concept.
Yeah, but we often call successful people sadu आदमी है ये पूरा टाइम काम इसको हटाओ. And somebody who comes and say, oh, I went on a date, or ये हो गया, वो हो गया. I often wonder, by the way, sometimes that who are in perpetual new relationships often are trying to be interesting sometimes. Because it's new content for their friends.
You've also said somewhere, most Indians settle for average careers. Why? Why do you believe so, and why do you think Indians
don't think I've said that we settle for average careers. I think we settle for settling. I think what I mean by that is that हम सोच रहे हैं कि settle हो जाए. Right? And it was the right decision at some point of time, because we were very poor as a country, and stability नहीं थी कोई चीज़ में. Like we used to seek government jobs, we still do. because they provided stability. Right? So it made sense to chase settling. But as you look at the next generation, they are not choosing for settling because their family is settled. They're not worried about khana kahan se aayega. Will I have a place to stay? So when basics are taken care of, we become slightly more ambitious. So ho raha hai.
So you feel now it's changed.
Yeah.
Do you think that's also, there's a flip side to it? A lot of entrepreneurs complain about it. On the podcast also they've complained that a lot of young people, because they don't care about settling, they are so flirtatious with their careers, they are not building their depth in any one field.
Yeah. See, the thing is, if you are not worried about how you will be taken care of long term, it's okay to be short term about things. Right? You are trying to jump between different things or whatever. So, for example, younger generation is a lot more driven by short term approach to life because they have not seen anything long term. Right? We've seen the average length of relationships also to come down. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I often hear people saying that, oh, I was in this relationship for 8 months. And somebody who came from my generation or one before that, it will sound absurd if somebody says that.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's timeline has changed, right? And that is causing this thing of like what we feel of time, right? Okay, 8 months. So I think that is changing. But अगर आप सोचे कि career, if you're not driven by, oh my God, I'm going to become useless and I'm going to have no money and no family to take care of. Actually, आप सोचो ना, अगर all these people who are flirtatious with their career, if their parents threw them out of the house or told them you have no access to any of the money that they have made, or their parents were short term and would out all their money, you'd automatically become more long term.
100%. 100%.
So they're able to afford being short term because some other people around them are being long term.
Do you think that जो बच्चे मान नहीं रहे उनको बाहर निकाल दे थोड़े दिन के लिए?
That's what very common thing used to happen in the West, no? West में getting kids out at the age of 18 was exactly built for that reason. Right? Not just getting rid of them. They were not just thrown out. They were chopped off from all financially help.
Should we do that? Should we kick our kids out?
I don't know what we want from life. No, who decides कि right wrong hai? I don't know. If you want them to become extraordinarily successful, yes, you have to make them starve. So when I use the word starve, it's metaphorical. It's be deprived of support and resources. Safety net निकाल दो, safety net. तो बढ़िया athlete बन जाएगा कोई भी.
Yeah.
Safety nets do not create always good athletes. Right? Like the fear of almost dying is what makes you really come alive.
Yeah. You use the word extraordinary. You want them to become extraordinary, then make them starve. How to become extraordinary if somebody who's watching this wants to become an extraordinary person?
First of all, you shouldn't have time to watch this podcast. But I think the point around any big achievement comes from overcoming many, many obstacles. Overcoming many, many obstacles is when you are putting yourself out there. And when you're giving it hours, attention, thing. For example, anybody who's built a great physique has not got it accidentally.
Yeah.
They were given extraordinary amount of attention, thinking, obsession, focus on food, workout, sleep. Like it's their being which gets them to that particular thing. Anybody who's got to any version of success as an entrepreneur, same. Anybody who's achieved any version of these things. And they are putting themselves out there and getting out of comfort zone, right? See, comfort zone is a very infertile land. ठीक है? but it keeps you safe.
So if you want to be extraordinary, just kill any
Anything,
comfort.
extraordinary, anything. Like, I'm not saying that you have to own. Wealth is not the only metric. I don't know.
Extraordinary, I mean anything. Yeah.
Anything.
But do you think that means it'll require for you to just kill your comfort?
Yeah, it's impossible to be extraordinary in comfort zone.
What's the truth about discipline and ambition? Because a lot of people want to be, they think they're ambitious. They say that they're ambitious. I don't know if their actions match that or no.
Mostly they don't.
So what do people misunderstand about it?
It's cool to say you're ambitious, no? Most ambitious people will never say they're ambitious. They're just doing stuff, building stuff. They're just out there. They don't write all these tag words on their Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn. They're just doing stuff. The need to put so many labels to who we are.
But when you ask them, they say they're ambitious.
No, will they identify as an ambitious person? Yes. They're not trying to tell the world they're ambitious. Like, fill their Instagram bio and LinkedIn bio with all these fancy keywords.
What do you think people misunderstand about ambition and discipline?
No, I think it's a being. It's what you are. It's like, it's not a thing that you can weekdays पे करता है.
Do you think it's a trait or a skill or something that people can build? Like, can they turn themselves into an ambitious person or no?
I think the drives are very hard to get externally. You can't get a drive from external purpose. But I do feel that if you are around ambitious people and they feel the need to keep you around, you will become more ambitious. Let me put it this way. I think you can make somebody more ambitious.
Okay.
I don't think you can make somebody ambitious.
So you're saying people are born ambitious? Or maybe something has happened to them over the years.
A lot of people become ambitious later on in life when they can completely bankrupt at 30. Then they get something and they have some major relationship issues and that makes them. So some life event causes them to... See, people maintain their slope. फिर एकदम कुछ होता है, फिर यहाँ जाता है फिर आदमी. Like, तब तक तो maintain करता है अपना slope.
Yeah. True. You also say that Indians are high on aspiration, but low on trust. Why do you say so?
I don't think I've said it the way you're saying it, but I think every human is aspirational. Because nobody's happy with what they have. Actually, happiness comes from absolutely wanting what you have. ठीक है? And progress comes from absolutely wanting what you don't have.
Yeah.
ठीक है? But when you think about trust is a very complex thing, right? Trust comes from, like, if you think about trust, it's more of a game theory problem where you could argue that it should benefit everybody to show good trustworthy behavior and then society becomes more trustworthy, right? For example, if the cost of being not trustworthy was very high in a country, then a lot of people will be trustworthy, right? For example, if the cost of breaking rules is dramatically going to cost you, we behave well.
Yeah.
Think about the teachers we had in school where we could escape not doing a homework or not doing an assignment, or where you could not. You saw the compliance to be very different.
Very, very different.
So often good trustworthy behavior comes from that. Let me give an example. Let's say a lot of people are not able to pay back their loans, and there are two broad reasons. They do not have the ability, they have lost a job, they have done things, and some people do not have the intent. कि नहीं देंगे. But what if we did something like that, that all the people who have willfully defaulted, कि होने के बावजूद नहीं दिए पैसे, we tell them you cannot take Digi Yatra, you cannot do Tatkal tickets. Now imagine 5 friends are going to the airport and 4 people go to Digi Yatra and you're like, oh no, I'll go from here.
Social embarrassment.
So अपने आप trust बढ़ जाएगा. What if landlords do not rent a property to somebody who has willfully defaulted on their credit scores? Which happens, by the way, in most developed world, credit scores are checked before renting an apartment. What if people would not get married without checking credit scores?
That's a good framework to put.
And why wouldn't you want to check? What if it became normal?
But why is it important for a country to start trusting a lot to build a country?
It cannot be prosperous without trusting. See, when country cannot be trusting, then all the transactions require too much of checking again and again. For example, let's say if no builder could cause a damage to a buyer, otherwise they would have severe punishments. So buying property and land would become a trustworthy transaction versus अरे check करते हैं, पूछते हैं, 10 जन को बताते हैं, ये करते हैं, वो करते हैं. There is so much friction and 90% भी यार जाने दो यार.
करना ही नहीं.
कुछ भरोसा नहीं इसका. So economic prosperity रुक गया. But what if you knew कि इसमें तो गलत हो ही नहीं सकता?
And why do you think कि आज नहीं है वो trust? क्योंकि सालों से problems आती हैं.
No, it takes every country goes through and change and trust. For example, let's say look at the success of UPI, right? Only when it can consistently be reliable and prevent frauds and do everything, it will be adopted by now close to 500 million Indians use it.
Why do you think we trust digital apps but not human beings as much?
No, I think
like
we trust.
App.
I don't think that's the case. I think we trust that can be verified to be consistent. So trust comes from 4 things. I often say this, but I'll repeat it. Trust comes from the presence of 4 things, but it's not, you need to be having all 4 in place. If visibly any of the 4 things are absent, you cannot trust something or someone. First is integrity. And integrity is not a थोड़ा सा है नहीं, integrity आदमी integrity वाला है, ये institution brand integrity वाला है. Second, consistency. ऐसा नहीं कि आज integrity कल नहीं है, कल ये mood है, आज ये mood है. Consistency, you can predict them like a clockwork.
Yeah.
Third is like competence. Do they know? Right? Imagine you are trying to go for a paragliding. And this guy is like, sir, you are my first client. Right? You would not be interested in that. And fourth is benevolence or non-self-centered behavior. If you knew that somebody is only self-centered, you're like less likely to trust them. So it's not all 4 are needed. But एक का भी absence दिख गया. Let's say the paragliding person की example बात करते हैं. The person has integrity, consistency, अच्छा आदमी है, self-centered नहीं है, लेकिन competence का question है, तो भी trust खत्म. Right? Now, let's say you are investing with somebody, you see competence, you see consistency in their performance, you see they are benevolent, but they are like integrity is
thoda shady.
So trust doesn't come that way. So only when these 4 things are consistently done, trust comes naturally.
Okay, let me give you an example, just a thought experiment. When you look at countries like US, people who have built one sort of organization and they're known for certain thing, they are less likely to be trusted in something else. So for example, if Apple, who's making phones, people trust them because they've shown consistency and competence in phones, it's less likely for them to start selling salt. People will question them.
Not really. They would not question. In fact, if you look at the history of US, they're exactly built that way. One company used to do everything. Right?
Like today, do you think they do that?
No, they don't need to, because the markets are deep enough for them to not focus, to be focused.
So you think the conglomerate thing, but okay.
So trust, concentration of trust happens in low trust societies.
In India, it happens.
So because you will trust like 20%, 20 people, 30 people contribute to 90% of all Bollywood revenue or entertainment revenue. And then you will see super apps happen in low trust countries. It doesn't happen in high trust countries. You do not see large conglomerates emerge in low trust countries or whatever. But if you go back in past, US also has all of these three things in the past. Because as a society found trust in the institutions, right? For example, if you have a bad fall at a cafe, doesn't matter what the cafe brand is, the government will protect you versus you thinking about your own protection. Because the institutions are very built for large scale, automatically trust comes in everything, right? So what happens is, for example, if you go to LA, every restaurant has to publish the certificate of their grading from the municipality on the door. Big sign, ABC. अगर हमने ये टेस्ट को एकदम सॉलिड कर दिया and we mandated this to be kept on the door, all the C वाले तो बंद हो जाएंगे ना. Let me give a different example. Let's say हम दोनों एक LED साइन की कंपनी बनाते हैं जिसमें हम सब रेस्टोरेंट के रेटिंग्स को एग्रीगेट करेंगे ऑनलाइन से और उसको रेस्टोरेंट्स को बेचेंगे कि जो साइन लगाओगे इट्स एन एग्रीगेशन ऑफ ऑल ऑनलाइन रेटिंग्स एंड customers can now trust this sign because it's truly aggregation real time with AI to give you the rating before you enter the restaurant. आप चल रहे हो, आपको दिख गया rating. So let's say now we go to restaurants. Which restaurants will buy and which will not buy? Any guesses?
Of course, the ones who have high ratings.
Correct. Now तो जिसका rating नहीं सही है उसके पास क्या choices है?
या तो ये लगाए नहीं या तो
लगाएगा नहीं. अगर लगाएगा नहीं तो business कम हो जाएगा. फिर choice है improve करने का. तो या तो फिर improve करेगा तो मर जाएगा. But would you agree that in 2 years average restaurant quality will go up?
Yeah.
That we experience? It's as simple as that.
But I was asking from a point of view of, do you know any large company which has done multiple things and have been trusted across sectors in US?
It's so many examples, right? Like you might think, but for example, Michelin is a guide for restaurants and also a tire company, right? So they are trusted in both the things. It is what normal is. For example, Costco is a company, most people buy their private label stuff, right? And they take the membership and buy their pulses. It's a retailer, right? So it's very common.
Okay.
But conglomerates work in countries that are not deep yet, right? For example, let's say अगर country 30-40 trillion का हो गया, तो just building cheese company will build you a unicorn.
Fair.
खाली एक ही चीज. But let's say if the country is not deep and Amul doing protein, this, that, everything will make sense because you trust them to get that category right. But if that was the case, we have not built many of the brands that have come in the recent past, right? So what you will see, trust will start happening in multiple categories, right? Now you've seen celebrities who've done protein have doing well, very well actually. And you would say कि आपका क्या background है protein बनाने का? But that's not how trust works. Trust often works basis this. For example, let's say if I recommended a book right now, it'll be bought.
Yeah. Because they trust you.
Because trust. So there is something that trust comes in very unique ways. But for example, I give some kind of a workout routine, you may not trust. Although it's not that I will not know about it, but you will say, यार ये तो नहीं लग रहा है, इसका तो सिक्स पैक नहीं है, तो इसकी बात क्यों सुना? Simple.
So how do you trust? Like, who are the trustworthy individuals and who are not?
It's very simple. People who are trustworthy within their org also. It's not outside. It's very rare to find somebody who's trusted outside when nobody in the team trusts them. Trust starts in the building first. For example, let's say people ask outside, is Raj trusted person? But already news होगा, आपकी टीम बोलेगा लंच पे डिनर पे बोलेगा अरे यार वो बहुत अनएथिकल आदमी है. If they said that, it's unlikely that trust outside will exist because this news spreads very fast.
Yeah.
So any behavior that is non-trustworthy in nature is content. We talked about gossip before. ये best gossip है.
What type of person you've learned to never trust, even if they're successful?
I don't think it works that way in a simple term. You can trust them for different things. But for example, let's say when you're trying to trust in investing in somebody, right? You're looking for how forthcoming they are when they are confronted with something. Let's say when you tell them, आपने ये बोला लेकिन ये है. If they justify, go roundabout versus saying that no, you're right, that's not true. But let me explain why I said that. And you buy that. So you'll see very clearly that people who can be trusted long term. Other example is, let's say your team members. People who are not fast at giving you bad news, but fast at giving you good news. Eventually, you will always have to watch your back with them. But their behavior must be a function of how you react also. If you are a terrible reactor to bad news, कभी भी नहीं आएगी bad news आपके पास.
True.
But if you say, it's okay, solve करते हैं, और 2 दिन के बाद उसको समझाया कि यार नहीं हो सकता ये. But that time if you react like a hyper emotional person, you will never get bad news.
So you feel...
Think about our relationship with parents. Like, who are we going to give bad news first? Or who are we not going to give bad news? Or are we going to give bad news to our parents?
It's based on the trust.
Or the reaction
they have given over the time. So you feel you can trust a person who accepts and reacts in a better way?
No, I
versus
think
people who deflect?
No, trust, I told you the 4 components cause trust. I'm just saying there are multiple traits that you feel... Okay, what is trust? Your ability to be vulnerable around somebody or something. That's trust.
Do you think as a public figure you can be vulnerable and yet be trusted?
If you are vulnerable, that is fine. But if you are not respected, you can't be trusted as a public figure. Because ultimately people have to respect you also. Just likes are not enough. Fame is not enough. There are many people who are famous for being cringe.
You don't respect them.
You won't respect them. We like watching clowns. Doesn't mean that we'll respect them. Would you wear t-shirt of somebody who's very cringe as a person? You might just once in a while watch their reel and laugh and oh my God, I can't believe they said that.
Respect is also subjective. I'll talk about it. Okay. But I want to share something with you because you said vulnerability. Yeah? I was speaking to somebody who trains and who have trained multiple presidents in US. And one of the key insights he told me that they've, in their training, when they become president, one of the first things they're being told that they're not allowed to say sorry.
Yes.
So he was sharing an insight about Donald Trump that sometimes he knows that he's wrong, but they're not allowed to say sorry because that makes them look weak.
Yes.
And that will make more people distrust them, not trust them the way
That is
they
correct.
do. So then trust comes from being very powerful and not vulnerable.
That's a good point. It's about what is the role. If your role is to be a protector, it's different to be vulnerable. If your role is to be protecting my wealth, you can't say sorry. Yaar. Paise doob gaye aapke. But if your role is to, let's say, generally lead as a manager and say that, guys, I'm sorry. I should have handled this feedback better. I should have solved this problem for you better. It creates trust. You wonder that, for example, feedback lena. If you are not good at taking feedback, it's going to be hard for people to trust. What if you're unapproachable for feedback? You will not grow only. Some figures require you to maintain that stature. But do you think that the same people would not be saying trust to their close people? Otherwise, they will never get feedback. How would they know what they are having their blind spots on? But you are right. The respect has very interesting connotations. For example, when it comes to leaders that we want to have blind faith behind. So you will see, you'll never see a godman ever say, maybe aisa hota hai kuch. They are very sure aise hota hai.
Exactly. That's what I was coming to.
So on some figures, we are expecting them to not have any doubt. Because we like to follow people who have backbone, not people who are right and wrong.
Do you think it works for celebrities, public figures as well?
Yeah, of course, it works for brands also. Some
Be
brands,
unapologetic.
luxury brands, are unlikely to say sorry for your experience. Your goods will be shipped in 3 days. No.
Who should be arrogant and unapologetic about what they are, and who should not be?
I
What's the
don't
thin
think that's a generic statement, right? People look up to people for different types of traits, right? If you study brand archetypes, there are 12 brand archetypes, right? Approachable, lovable, warm, ruler, creator, innovator, magician. There are multiple types. Everybody has a role and you have to fit that role, right? Look at the movie actors. We have different archetypes, right? Not saying sorry types. The warm, lovable, likable type, the intellectual type, the non-intellectual type, energy, jovial type. These are all characters. They all exist. And they all have different roles to play.
Who will have the highest status, likely to have highest status in a country like India? What do you think?
Always status boils down to wealth or power. The best status is obviously both.
What would your brand archetype be if you have to put it out in a word?
I don't know. I think
What do you
people, I think brand archetypes are not something that you can craft. You are that.
Yeah. What do you think? How do people perceive you?
I don't know. Maybe I should do a survey and find out how do people perceive
What's your
me, but
guess?
What's your guess?
What do you think? I want to know it from you.
I don't know. You tell me.
You're very like a random intellect and wise kind of persona that you give, at least on internet. And sometimes I also feel that you purposely show that you don't take yourself seriously. That's like, I don't know how to fit that into one thing, but that's what you show.
I actually don't take myself seriously. I think...
that's what we can perceive.
And that's because nothing really matters, right? Eventually, you may do everything and I don't know, 50, 100 years, nobody will remember anything. Like, if you see history of people who achieved extraordinary stuff. Like, I was talking to somebody about the story of the founder of Bombay Stock Exchange. I met some Bombay Stock Exchange employees. They didn't even know about this person. They work in that institution. So forget about who else will care about it.
Yeah. So you don't take yourself seriously at all.
I don't think, I think we should take what we do seriously for the time that we are being around over here, and do it with a lot of respect and dignity and a lot of integrity. But you do also accept that life is absolutely fragile, and humans keep evolving and moving on, right? And you should just be happy about what you did in the time that you had the gift of life, versus constantly worry about your legacy, your like long term and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying that you should not think about that. Let's say you're building a company, you should want for it to last hundreds of years. But you do also accept that the mathematical odds of that happening is close to zero.
Have you thought? Sorry,
go ahead.
Have you thought that what if you fail?
I think the mathematical chance of that is high for every single individual. What do you do to continuously get lucky for not being failure is something that you have to build through observing, pattern recognition, so on and so forth, right? And often you don't see that in people because they're not thinking about converting this into a long-term thing. For example, let's say a company is in the first 5 years. Let's say Tata Group.
Okay.
In the first 5 years, we're not thinking कि हम एक institution बनाएंगे जो centuries तक चलेगा. They have to solve a very different problem. Sometimes of survival. Right? When you are raising a kid, when it's 1-2 year old, you're not thinking about, a lawyer, doctor, engineer. Like, it's hard to, although you wish for, but you don't think about that. You're like, okay, is the baby sick or not sick? Has it got vaccinated, not got vaccinated, so on and so forth. You're thinking about different things. But I think as you're building companies and you reach a certain age, you think about it to be more long lasting in nature. You don't think about taking shortcuts on many things.
But have you thought ever? Okay, let me put this in a very podcasty way. That if someone was to write a book on you,
I hope not.
And the book title is like about your failure. Okay, let's just put it this way. We're doing an experiment.
Correct.
The book title is Why I Didn't Make It.
Perfect.
What do you think would be the first chapter?
Did not evolve.
Explain.
The world changed and I did not evolve to the change. I did not adapt. Did not learn. Did not fix my mistakes. Did not demonstrate discipline.
Do you think you're not evolving at a pace that you should be evolving?
Nobody is evolving at the pace the world is evolving at right now. Nobody. The world is changing too rapidly, too quickly.
What gives you this insight?
Just look at everything that is happening around us. We often forget that, like, smartphones don't exist before a very long period of time. Internet did not exist for a very long period of time. Now we have AI, and AI is evolving at a rate every 2 months that you cannot imagine. And the world is therefore evolving around that change of behavior. Social media, all the evidence of mental health, all the evidence of new types of behaviors that are coming on younger people, it's evolving at a very different rate. We don't know how to plan for it. If you had a teenager, what are you asking them to study? How do you know?
Yeah.
If you banned placements in MBA schools, कोई MBA करेगा क्या? What if you and I build a company that assures placement? will probably make more money than MBA schools.
True. 100%.
So what I'm saying is that who knows? Who knows?
So
Nobody knows.
Evolution is...
Yeah, changing, evolving, and it's changing at a much faster rate. For example, our parents didn't have to learn all this thing and watch podcasts and evolve so fast.
Yeah.
Dunya thik hi thi.
Yeah.
In fact, grandparents had to evolve much lesser. Because the world's rate of change was manageable.
Do you think more people will feel, with all this change and evolution, average number of people, they'll get more successful or they'll fail more?
I think the rate of failure and success has been consistently in the world. Doesn't matter what the time was. But average wealth always grew. Average prosperity always grew. The gap was always wide. By the way, we often say abhi bahut gap ho gaya hai between wealthy and not wealthy. Did you ever imagine the gap between kings and other people back in the day? The gap was multiple times more. We often say that, countries were richer before they were looted. No, only the kings were richer. The rest of the people were not very rich. So this is where you have to say, what is a purpose of a government? Find a way to get everybody out and do well. Create prosperity for them. Create opportunity for them. And that's what has to happen.
Because you're talking about government, it reminds me of another tweet that you did.
Hanji.
All tweets about power and politics result in more quote tweets than any other form of tweet. Fastest way to be called stupid in life is to have an opinion about power or politics.
Yeah.
Why?
I observed this, so I wrote that because you will notice that people who talk a lot about politics are usually powerless in life. And they feel the power by discussing politics a lot. I'm not saying that politics is not discussed by a lot of people. I'm saying people who are obsessively discussing that. Right? And especially if they're not journalists. Like journalists, they are paid to discuss. आप ऐसे ही WhatsApp group पे कर रहे हो. You will notice a very specific pattern that are usually not very powerful people.
That is true.
Right? And the reason of the quote tweet is saying that you make an opinion about something, people will want to bash you because like it's this identity driven thing. Right? For example, if you question democracy as a thought experiment, and you said that democracy should be different based on the average IQ of the society, just try to write that. You will almost get cancelled.
But
let's say if I told you that, hey, we have to hire CEOs of a company based on a voting system in a company, would you bet on this company as an investor?
Never. Terrible idea.
So that's how things work. But when you put these opinions out there, because when there's a firm belief about something, it causes reactions. Especially from people who are otherwise not very powerful.
Yeah. That's... I was at another experiment. I was just reading.
Actually, let me give another thought experiment. Just think about this. Just thought experiment.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say on Twitter, after everybody's name, their average IQ is shown. And that is automatically derived through AI. What happens to social media?
It actually becomes a better place, honestly.
I don't know. I don't know.
But it'll be less profitable. Like way less profitable.
I don't know. It's not that all people who are with high IQ are noble.
But it'll be more entertaining. For sure.
I don't know. I do believe it'll be a very interesting thought experiment, right? And therefore, one of the things that I think about is thought experiments a lot. second order thinking. Less than 1% of people can come up with good answers to this question that I said. You can try it in all your interviews with your current team members. Tell them 10 things that is likely to happen if this is made mandatory in Twitter.
Average IQ.
Average IQ? No. IQ of every person is shown next to their name. If that happens, let's say Kunal Shah 80, Raj 140, aana shuru ho gaya, and now what happens in 1 year's time? Ask this question to your team members. Less than 10% of people will have great answers. And it has nothing to do with what their current role is, salary is, nothing to do with that.
Why do you think people won't have an answer?
Good answers. People have answers. India में answers की कमी नहीं है. It is hard to think second, third order.
What if this, and then what, and then what, and then what?
And very complex. You would be good at understanding behavior, dynamics. For example, right now you said it will be entertaining. But I'll say why, and you have to think and play in your head. It takes a while.
People who are listening, they should comment their answers. Maybe we'll get some interesting answers, or maybe we'll get similar answers. We don't know.
Answers, but it's very hard. It's very, very hard.
Do you think one thing which will happen if this happens?
Actually, think about it. When I was tweeting something, initially, when Grok and Perplexity became thing, people would question, is this true? Is this what he's saying is correct or not?
Yeah.
And only when I saw in the first 20, 30 times, these AI tools said, yes, this person is saying something right. This pattern is observed. This is a proof of this. I saw people stop doing it on my social media. Some people are asking this, is this copied idea? And I like it a lot that people do that. And I saw that you could see people say, isko abhi, we can't mock nahi kar sakte hain isko. But it's an interesting, instead of believing that this person is copying their ideas or thoughts or whatever, you just ask this question. So I went and took my tweets and say, how many of these are original, how many are not original ideas? Because I was not trying to validate myself. I was like, who else thought about this? फिर उसके अंदर और पता करते क्या सोचा होगा उसने? Because they would have probably gone deeper. Because I am just accidentally discovering something, but somebody has gone deep into it. For example, I was thinking about how do masses get persuaded. Then I went and then discovered Plato or any of these guys who have written books on this topic, who have also written books on geometry, geography or human persuasion पे topic पे लिखा है कुछ तो. And you're like, oh wow, this guy had एक life में इतना कर दिया उसने सब कुछ. And then you discover more such people who've done 200 topics पे authoritative books लिखी है उसके ऊपर. So you're like, ये कैसे हुआ? हम तो barely एक subject पे depth जा सकते हैं. Then you realize the power of distraction, कि शायद distraction नहीं थे वो ज़माने में. So लोग deep जाते थे. Now we are shallow about 500 topics. Second question पूछ दो तो out हो जाते हैं.
True. Do you think अगर I'm still stuck on the IQ, do you think अगर IQ लिखा बहुत ज़्यादा, in long run, people will stop giving importance to the IQ number?
It's unlikely to happen because there is a strong correlation. You will see a strong correlation of IQ and wealth, IQ and power. You will see strong correlation in that. I'm not saying causation. IQ होने से guarantee नहीं कि you will get power or wealth, but you will see that a very high percentage of people who are wealthy or powerful have higher IQ.
Agree.
Right? So what you will start noticing is that you will start taking respect opinions very differently. For example, if I asked an average person today in 2025, do you trust ChatGPT more than 90% of your friends? They might say yes. By 2030, very few friends will be smarter than ChatGPT. So then how will trust work in that world? Because many of our relationships come from taking advice from somebody, taking mentorship from somebody. Now I'm like, boss, वो तो मैं ChatGPT को पूछ लूँगा, आप खाली entertain करो, gossip बताओ. Relationships might change materially.
But then if you go with the rule of social media, where someone who's relatable and is doing something extraordinary, who feels like is one of you, you would want to celebrate that person more. So people with lower IQ.
So it's very interesting. Would you want to be seen as a relatable person's fan whose IQ is shown as low? Answer is no.
No, but then you like to be a rebel and be like, hey, sabka ye thodi hota hai, dekho ye bhi hota hai. Then you would want to be
That's what I'm saying.
Just to justify my life.
Yeah, but then you will stop getting respected. Because somewhere people will say, like you...
Forget about IQ hai na publicly. I'm already less respected.
Correct. What I'm saying is that if I don't tweet, then I can choose to be anonymous and do whatever I'm doing, right? But if I'm seen... You don't want to be seen.
But you want to be seen supporting an underdog and actually be associated with an underdog who won.
Perfect. What you will notice is that when you are doing that, you may not get the support that you think you will get from people who are of respect. See, what I'm trying to say is that one is, what do I do? For example, it's not that people who have high IQ, high success, high power are not watching cringe content and memes. They are watching it. They're enjoying it. Right? But sometimes, like associating with that, people wonder, why are you doing that? For example, when I post meme, people are like, I'll get DMs ki, sir, ye aap kyun post karte ho? You are such an inspirational figure. And I'm like, that's what it is. But I think that's an association problem. कि आप ये सब क्या कर रहे हो? आपको तो राज के साथ पॉडकास्ट करना चाहिए. ये आप मीम लगा रहे हो.
But I was coming from the point that if somebody with low IQ proves over time to be of high power, wealth and status, regardless of having a low IQ, a lot of people would want to associate themselves with them.
100%. So you will start seeing a pattern कि यार IQ high नहीं है तो भी सक्सेस हुआ तो क्या आता है उसके अंदर. Then you might discover कि यार इसके साथ EQ ज़्यादा है तो कर रहा है कुछ तो, या फिर ड्राइव बहुत है, हसल बहुत करता है, डिसिप्लिन बहुत है. You might start seeing many other traits. So I agree with you, right? But it will still be detrimental, but they may not even get chance sometimes because this data became public.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying the thought experiment is interesting, because would you give a chance to somebody?
True.
For example, let's say sometimes you might discover the person who makes the most amount of wealth in the stock market is actually not very high IQ. But now would you invest in that once their IQ is revealed? Although they have proven track record, maybe you start doubting. And therefore the thought experiment is interesting because it creates some very second order effects.
Yeah. Because if you actually look at data also, most of the athletes who win, they have low IQ comparatively to a lot of high IQ.
Yeah, because their profession requires a very different thing. So, but you might discover, by the way, that people who are actually top athletes are actually very good at pattern recognition and discipline.
Agreed.
Because you can't just rely on brute force to get to the top of the game. Because sub game eventually chess ban jati hai.
Sare.
You might break out by brute, but the top games are always mind games.
Yeah. Have you noticed any pattern in yourself? Which, regardless of which company you're building or which age you're in or which category you're operating in, they keep occurring to you again and again?
Yeah. For example, I always look for efficient paths. I believe that there has to be a very efficient, lazy method to achieve something. I'm always seeking that. I'm always trying to find, is there a way to achieve this thing in the most energy efficient way? I often look for those patterns. I've seen a pattern of constantly wanting to know, why does something happen? One pattern I observe is that I like to challenge the team on, we are doing this, this is going to be the outcome. And I'm looking for somebody to prove me wrong. Because then I can trust them with more judgment.
Yeah. Nice.
For example, let's say you can easily run a thing, ये video post कर रहे हैं, कितना views आएगा? Let's say you run a live contest, 24 hours में कितना view आएगा इसका? And you do this 10 times. And 2 people are consistently able to predict closest to the answer. You can trust them more.
That's a good thing. I'll do it.
You should do it. Let me know what happens.
I'll absolutely do it.
Because they do something that is getting them consistently right. एक बार तो luck से चल जाएगा. 10 बार luck से नहीं आएगा. Yeah. And you can do it. 24 hours में कितना views आएगा? जो भी है, we'll check it. Whoever gets, you give them some prize. Let's announce 100 rupees prize for everybody who gets it every 24 hours. But you observe in 10 times who won the most times. Sometimes you might not get in 10 times, then you throw in 100 times who won the most times. And then, boom, you start seeing patterns.
Yeah. Okay. One loop was open, respect. You said respect is primarily decided by power and money. Right? Something of that sort. What did he say?
Yeah.
Like it's wealth and power.
Respect is humans have a natural ranking systems in their head. And we follow.
Yeah.
People we respect. Or we like. Either of the 2 reasons we follow. Respect may not have a large crowd. Love has a much more larger crowd. Funny is more love has more following. Respect has lesser following because people who seek respect is a smaller cohort. Right? Because for example, will you ever beat people who are, let's say, putting funny content out there? It's going to be hard.
Very hard.
Because people are trying to escape from their life and enjoy for a few minutes. यहाँ पे आएंगे और ये सब कॉन्सेप्ट सीख के अभी और दिमाग फट गया. So you have to think that respect comes where you say, okay, this guy is seeing something and pattern, and they are doing something, winning something, getting something done, achieving something, and you see the pattern, right? You may not necessarily love them just because you respect them, right? Some people are loved, not respected. Some people are respected, not loved. Some people are loved and respected. That is a golden category, right? And it's hard to get to that with consistency. Respect usually is when you see people great at long-term behaviors. Respect, for example, I can make an ad to be liked. यार अच्छी लगती है brand मुझे. I make an ad and I get respected. No, people will see me for many, many, many years, and then potentially build respect. Or they will have to see respect through association. If they see somebody else they respect somebody, they will respect. Like nahi, respect.
Why?
Because people who are very respected don't easily respect people. They are very selective in their respect.
But how do you win respect then? By just
demonstrating consistency. If you asked top cricketers, how many people do you respect? List बहुत छोटा निकलेगा. If you ask an average person, give me a list of people you respect, दिन भर लिख सकता है.
क्यों ऐसे?
Because it's harder to get to that. Respect is a much harder game. Like is the easier game.
No, you said if I heard it correctly, you said if you ask a cricketer, top cricketer,
how many people in the planet they respect?
Why would they respect lesser people than an average person?
Because the bar is different now.
Somebody to show that level of consistency and long-term behavior.
Because they are at certain level, they will see respect somewhere else.
See, they would respect a lot of people. They would not admire a lot of people.
So that's very interesting. Respect का range होता है, right? If an elite cricketer saw somebody come at the age of 14 and hit a 6, they'll admire.
They won't respect.
They won't respect.
जैसे
अभी दिखा कि 100 सेंचुरी मारेगा, मैच जिताएगा. They might see some early signs. But there are so many people who have come and disappeared.
Even though if they're wealthy and they end up becoming wealthy, people don't respect them because they've disappeared.
So for example, if you make wealth through mediums that are not respect generating, not be respected as much. So back in the day, I had tweeted something like most of the wealth was in India was built through opium, especially Bombay.
The trade, Malwa trade,
Malwa trade ka baare mein, and opium, and all of them did extraordinary amount of philanthropic work to be respected. Majority of for example, the zoo, the public hospitals, all of that are donated by opium dealers. Sir JJ School of Art, college, this thing, Sir JJ and others were very big in opium trade. And by the way, it was not illegal that time. So you can't currently go and say, "Arey, dekho, opium karte the." No, it's a legitimate business that time. But because you have to find reputation, right? You would create many things, right? And building libraries, building hospitals, building public institutions, public parks, doing philanthropic work was a way to earn respect. So you will see that people who are wealthy may not always be respected.
Yeah.
They found ways to get respected.
And that's why they do certain things to be respected. What do you chase in life? Freedom, money, power, respect, fame?
I don't know. I think I chase knowledge is what I have found as a more reliable answer all these things. I often question this, that what drives me. I think I like to understand things and implement things and create things. Like I'm very averse to fame. Like I often, when people say, "Okay, can I take a selfie?" my immediate reaction is like, "No, please. Like don't. Like you met me, just say hello to me." Something like I don't want that. And I do that quite often. And I feel bad because people are really excited to see you and want to take a selfie with you. But I'm like, can I say no? I'm sorry. Like what I've seen, only good use of wealth I've seen is access. Because somebody who has to decide to meet you has to see कि यार कुछ तो level का आदमी तभी मिलूंगा मैं. So उसका बड़ा use case है ये. कि for example, for you, like when you started, we did the podcast how many years ago?
3.5 years.
3.5 years ago.
4 maybe, yeah.
4. Now your ability to get meetings with people has dramatically changed. Because you have access, distribution, fame, all of that, which helps you.
True. Very different.
And every new thing unlocks a new thing. It is very powerful.
Yeah.
So I think ये बड़े काम की चीज़ है.
Capital. In my case, it's social capital.
So social capital, some level that say यार इसको मिलना चाहिए. But for example, they might want to meet you कि यार, oh, what if through this I might appear on this podcast and मेरे को थोड़ा famous मिल जाए. Like कुछ तो like some association benefit that they might seek from you. With capital, somebody who's trying to meet you is like, okay, will you get access of something? Sometimes it's knowledge. But I've seen that when you chase knowledge and nothing else, people respect you more.
100%.
So what I have seen is that whenever I've reached out to somebody and say, like, let's say I meet somebody from the media industry and I say, I only want to meet you to understand how movies work, this work or whatever. And let's say when they invite me to a party and I say no, they respect you more because you're not trying to take advantage of this person to get access to that world. Right? For example, we've sponsored IPL for many years. Or I've gone for no party. I've gone for no things. I've not even gone for matches. Right? Because it will be very clear. Okay, what do you want? But would I want to meet an athlete in a personal setting to ask them questions about what makes something special? Absolutely, yes.
But you have no fascination towards being seen with them so that you are being seen more.
Yeah, or get access to that part of their life which may not be appealing to me. I definitely want access to their brain.
Glamour doesn't excite you?
Yeah, it doesn't, because I think it's very short-lived. It's one of those things which is depreciating asset. I like appreciating assets.
Interesting way to look at things.
Yeah. Long-term. Glamour is short-term. I like long-term things. If I learn something from an elite cricketer or an elite athlete, elite musician, elite something, it'll stay with me forever. It'll shape me. It will mold me. It will create a new dimension in me.
Can I share something? I've often questioned myself for being like the way you are. I similarly, because of the nature of the work, I get invited to XYZ parties, to the glamour world, and I 90% of the time say no. Sometimes I go there because just I want to see what's in that world. I want to understand and meet certain people who I can only get access through that event. And I yet want to be so low-key that I just repel to just no pictures, no nothing. I don't want to be seen anywhere. And I always used to feel that maybe it's some kind of complex inside me which is making me not seen in the public. I don't know. I think always ask questions.
See, ultimately,
I go there for actually the information and knowledge and connecting with people.
Ultimately, people seek what they want and they get it. Right? For example, I have requested multiple people who give awards or whatever. Okay, I don't want to be given. I'm very happy to help you with anything in life, but don't nominate me or give me anything because it doesn't help. When you're building a business, you have to prove you can scale, you can build profit, you can give return to your shareholders, you can help your employees become wealthy, all of that stuff.
Yeah. No awards.
Award ko kya karenge?
Yeah.
So I've seen that if you're doing well, no, people of respect know you.
True.
Aapko number pata kaun ka hota hai. You meet some people, they don't know you because you won some award. They know your numbers.
True. So true.
So this is the respect. Game recognizes game. They are not recognizing you because you won some award. No chance.
Yeah. Vanity metrics, they don't give a shit about.
Yeah. They actually look at it in a negative manner.
That this person's chasing vanity, so maybe the substance and value will be lesser.
Yeah.
What's the biggest misunderstanding about you?
I often think about this and ask people about it. For example, a lot of people who come to work at Cred, they think I'm some intimidating like Twitter personality, but I'm like working and deeply involved at work. So they're like, okay, they thought I'm like some guy who's not in office and like some guy who's, I don't know, goes on speaker and speaks to the team. Big boss. That's one thing I've seen consistently. Second is that because I don't use, I come from a generation where emojis is not natural to me anywhere. So people think that I'm rude or arrogant because I don't. And I speak in lesser words.
Yeah, crisp.
So people who are efficient in communication are always perceived to be rude.
But you're not rude. You're just being...
I'm just the way I am, right?
But do you think you're rude?
I don't think so. Because see, people who are rude are trying to hurt somebody and they are trying to evoke a reaction from somebody. I am less likely to notice either of the two. I like to say that it should help you.
Yeah.
If you spend 10 minutes with me, it should help you. Versus all these words like rude, mean, it doesn't matter.
So now that you know that people misunderstand this thing about you, does it bother you? Do you ever want to change it? Or you're like, fuck it, I'm the way I am?
I think anything that would impact anything long term, I would want to change it. I haven't thought this impact because there are enough people who tell you, yeah, it's a nice guy. I don't think if people at work felt the same thing after joining, then it will become the image that I have.
Yeah.
But they'll say, yaar, theek hi hai. I think people build perceptions basis the version of they see out there. For example, when I post, like I'll tell you a funny story. I once was at a cafe and this person walked up to me and said, "Oh, please, can I take a selfie with you? You are my favorite memer." This person had no clue. I do something else in life.
Really?
And I was personally very happy about it because I was like, this is an achievement that I did not ever see coming. And it's like, oh, my sister is going to be so jealous that I got a chance to meet you. And I'm like, this is interesting, right? So I think often that like people build a perception about you and sometimes you're like, oh, people have a different perception about you somewhere else altogether. Like this person doesn't think about anything else except I post memes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but
I loved it. I loved it. I was like, that is so cool.
see, now that when you go in rooms, you're respected and people admire you for n number of things. What's a part of you which you still want to hide?
I think I don't think I have a part in me left. For example, I used to be very. I did not think till I became, I would say, decently successful in terms of money, I ever talked about that I was poor or had these challenges or these things because I used to be afraid that I will be treated with sympathy. And I didn't want anybody to give me an opportunity basis sympathy. Because it's not merit driven then. It's a little bit of a charity that somebody is doing for you. So I think that's the only part I used to hide consciously, that not talk about not having money. Like I literally remember that I had for the entire college period, I had one shoe that was torn and I must have repaired it hundreds of times. I wouldn't want to make that the story that somebody will give me an opportunity. But now when I reflect back, it is something that I'm okay to talk about. Earlier I would be like, no, you have to pretend that you were not poor.
And what changed?
Just accepting that it's just what made me who I am. But that time I think I was right in not sharing that earlier because I don't think anybody should seek sympathy. I think as a culture, like we had too many sad songs and too many self-sympathizing stuff. I don't think respect comes to people who are constantly seeking sympathy. You might like them. You might help them. You can't respect them.
So true. It's such a lot of people use sympathy as a strategy and then later realize that the only thing it got them was likes, not the respect.
Yeah, or help, but not respect.
Okay, we want to go through all the tweets now.
Oh my God.
Okay. And you have to explain these things to me.
Okay.
But some of these things you have already done, but still. So, you said success isn't a club you enter through inheritance. What do you mean by this?
I think it's earned, right? Success is an earned thing. It's not what you get. Just because, let's say, think about nepotism. You can get your first movie through influence. You can't get your 10th movie through influence. It might give you an entry ticket. Let's say being rich might get you to a good college. Doesn't make you successful in life. So what I mean by that is that it is not coming through inheritance. It is something that is earned.
Then what do you mean by success here? Because a lot of people actually measure success by money and power that you have. Inheritance gives you both of them.
It gives you both. For example, but let's say if you did not have built an ability to create wealth, you'll most likely lose wealth. So most wealth disappears in third, fourth generation. In most families. Because of this.
So it's...
Unless you build an ability to create wealth.
But एक generation की respect रहेगी कि नहीं रहेगी?
हाँ रहेगी, ठीक है. But
inheritance करके कोई successful.
Yeah, but I think you will see people who have inherited money and not built their own, they're not respected as much. People see it.
But in extreme large families, you don't even know.
You will find out. Their employees will know. कि सर तो ऑफिस में वीडियो गेम खेलता है. It's true.
And the word will come out.
Yeah.
So no amount of money can actually get you respect or success.
Unless you are seen growing and compounding and sacrificing and taking risks.
Fair. Okay. Here's another one. Those who are greedy to understand the world get more money.
Those who are greedy
to understand the world get more money in life than those who are greedy to get more money.
Yeah. I think being greedy to money is saying that I want to be this guy, but I don't want to find the process of how do I get there. Right? But people who are greedy to understand the world, figure out. And money just comes as an outcome of that. Or success comes as an outcome. Right? For example, let's say I'm an aspiring podcaster. I want to be like Raj over here and like, oh my God, I'm going to beat all the numbers he has. But I have no interest in the process of how he picks his guests and how he gets his content. What does he do? All of that. And I'm not trying to understand what makes things viral. I'm not trying to understand any of that. And I'm only greedy for the end outcome. I'm less likely to get it. But people are greedy to understand the world. Wealth will keep.
It starts like that.
Sorry?
Don't you think it starts with just greed for money?
Not necessarily. Because sometimes you just discover money as an accidental outcome of some of the things that you're pursuing. Did you expect you to make so much revenue when you started?
No.
Did you do this for money?
No. Never.
You're making a lot of money that as an outcome of what you are still doing for your passion.
I still don't believe this is making as much money.
Correct. But the thing is that if you thought कि पैसा बनाने के लिए तो podcast तो नहीं करते life में.
But बहुत लोग पैसा कमाने के लिए कुछ business करते हैं.
That's fine.
And उसके लिए फिर बहुत पैसा बनता है.
बनता है, but unless they are understanding how things work. Business is done to make money. There's no question about that. But you do not make a lot of money if you don't understand things. So you have to be greedy of understanding things. Being greedy for money doesn't create understanding. The core loop which compounds is that. For example, do you want to get a six-pack? Yeah, everybody will raise hand.
Yeah.
But that's not the thing. Like just the discipline, the understanding, the choices is what creates the outcome, no?
I agree with you, but I think this for most people, the starting point is I just want to make money. I don't care about anything else because I just want to get out of the financial rut of my family.
That is good starting point. It's not what will get you anything.
It'll get you some money in the beginning.
Mushkil hai. If your understanding is not growing, kuch bhi nahi aayega.
To make money, you need
the real currency is understanding and skills. Money is just a score.
Yeah.
It's like मुझे century बनानी है. Versus मैं 6 मारूंगा, मैं बैटिंग सीखूंगा, ये करूंगा, वो करूंगा, बेस्ट एथलीट से पूछूंगा, तब सेंचुरी बनेगी.
Yeah. You know, just a random fact because you talked about six packs. I was reading yesterday, I don't know how true that stat is. In America, you're 4x more likely to become a millionaire than to have a six pack.
Yeah. I think it's going to become 10 to 12x now. Because the wealth is constantly growing. The percent of people who are having six pack is consistently remained the same.
So you said process-driven understanding, right? Do you feel with the way AI is becoming more and more prevalent in our lives, we are less likely to be process-driven and more likely to be outcome-driven, and that's actually ruining a part of our brain? Because now I don't care about developing a muscle or developing an interest of process. I only care about the final outcome.
Yes and no, right? If you do not understand how something works, your brain will not fully develop.
Yeah.
So that's a true statement. But should you do something the hard way? The answer is no. Right? For example, we all took vehicles to come to this place. One could argue that आपकी health नहीं बढ़ेगी जब तक आप चल के नहीं आओगे. I would have taken few hours to come over here. Right? So the question is that we find efficient paths to achieve the outcome, right? But doesn't mean that we do not know if we have to walk, we can walk or not. But if you learn to not walk and only vehicle is the only way you'll get there, then you are in a problem.
How do you do that in AI case?
No, so let's take an example of this. If you were not able to write a single paragraph without AI's help, then you're in a big trouble because you'll not even know if AI has done a good job.
Which will most likely to happen for
so I'm saying that will happen for most people. So what I'm saying is that dependency will increase and people's brain will going to atrophy. So actually I tweeted about this, that the atrophy that we are going to go through and the dependency on all decisions that we take on, right? See, one is auditing a decision, one is taking help to take decisions. Very different. If you take AI's help to audit your decisions, audit your judgment, audit your strategy, good idea. What should I do? The moment you do that, the brain will atrophy at a different level. Which is what I'm worried about in general. And see, human brain is energy efficient. Kuch bhi ho jaye, we don't want to spend our brain on anything.
Yeah.
So anything that makes our brain energy efficient will keep going down that path. But it's like a little bit like muscle. Eventually we make the muscle, it becomes more efficient.
Yeah.
Right? And therefore, building that muscle is an important trait. And unless we become good at building that muscle, which is otherwise avoidable, most people avoid it. That changes the equation materially. So you have to think about life where, hey, I am going to push for that atrophy to not happen. I'm going to leverage this to become actually even more curious. Take more ambitious calls, more decisions, more curiosity. Then it's very powerful. But that's true for any tool in life.
Yeah.
It's true for any tool in life. इंटरनेट आया था सब हमने सेम चीज़ बताई थी कि यार ये बैठे बैठे सब कुछ मिल जाता है. पहले लाइब्रेरी जाना पड़ता था, समझना पड़ता था, करना पड़ता था, पूछना पड़ता था, प्रोफेसर से बात करना पड़ता था. अब ये सब खत्म हो गया. So people have become extraordinarily better using internet, and people are still watching fun content on that. The country's average usage now is touching 35 GB almost per month per capita without a Wi-Fi usage, by the way. This is just data usage on cellular. 35 GB. So you wonder, काम कब करते हैं?
35 GB average
per capita per user in India. Probably the highest in the world.
When was the last time you got offended?
I don't get offended. I'll tell you
last time?
I don't think. I have no memory of getting offended because my filter is of कुछ काम का information के नहीं है. I don't have the filter of offended and not offended. I usually am either curious or not curious, interested, not interested. That I can give you very clear answers about. But offended, not offended is not the filter.
Do you have any insecurity?
Insecurity of becoming not able to understand something, not able to figure out something is a huge thing that it's not an insecurity, it's a worry I have. It keeps me up. That do I get it?
But physically or personally, do you have anything?
No.
Emotionally? No insecurity?
I'm sure when I grew up, I had the same insecurities everybody else did, but eventually realized that these are all less important things.
Have you ever gone in a room full of people and felt inferior?
Not anymore. For example, I didn't know how to speak proper English till I was like 23, 24. I could not that I can claim that I can speak well now also, but the thing is that time I would worry that I would just be a listener. For example, I remember distinctly that my biggest trigger of joining MBA was I would read Economic Times, मेरे को कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आता था, right? And I would feel like, oh my God, ये दुनिया तो is like alien. It's a little bit like you want to see under the ocean, you don't know how to swim. Like it's a little bit of that, right? But now I don't think. But I think I have gone to solve these barriers versus like सार ग्रेप्स की तरह अरे ये तो Economic Times बकवास है. You can do that.
Yeah.
But I have never done that. I'm like, अरे ये करना चाहिए.
And then you just went deeper and deeper to solve that out.
Yeah.
Insecure. So you worked on the things that bothered you.
Yeah. And I think once you understand.
Have you ever ignored?
What have I ever ignored?
Ignored something that bothers you.
No, I usually address it.
Okay.
I usually address it. It's a good signal to know where to work on. It's a good indicator. It's like, वो engine light होती है ना गाड़ी में, so something bothers is a good place कि करना है कुछ यहाँ पे.
Yeah.
I don't ignore it usually. And try to understand also why it bothers me. Sometimes you discover कि it's not worth bothering about. Then light बंद हो जाती है फिर वो.
I do this. I write notes on like let's say weekly or 20 days में एक बार जब भी whenever I get angry or bothered, I write down I get bothered or angry. And then whenever I have time.
But you should write down why did I get bothered.
So that's what and then whenever I have time at the end of the weekend or somewhere or I'm in a long flight, I open those notes and be like, okay, is time pe I got angry? Why did I get angry? Where is this coming from? What is happening?
If you go more into why, emotions will disappear. Yeah. The word why is a very powerful thing to go into logic versus emotions. So I would say if more people used why, they would be less emotional.
You said something about India on this point.
What is that?
Again, you tweeted that it's hard to imagine for rationality to be at forefront in a society where emotions are celebrated and lack of it is resented.
Yeah. So, for example, अरे यार ये तो robot जैसा है. Or somebody who's controlling their emotions. So we can't expect rationality to be at forefront over there.
Is that one of the reasons which is holding us to be very prosperous?
I don't think so. Prosperity is a very complex topic, right? For example, I would say one gender is working and second gender is not contributing to workforce. No country has become rich by one gender working. It's a much bigger factor than emotions and non-emotions, right? So complex topic, but rationality and curiosity, reason, productivity is important. For example, you will never see a country getting prosperous without them really valuing time. You will not see one country that will become prosperous without valuing time. You will never see अरे मस्त चल रहा है और country prosperous हो गया.
You talk about it a lot.
No, but it's evidence. It's evidence, right? So if I found a country that became prosperous by being them chill, I'm very interested in that. And I'm not even saying that we should chase that metric. I don't know if it's the right metric to chase. Okay, we should become rich. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows is the right metric? For example, we say, oh, we should try to make people healthy and make them live longer. But what if they are not wanting to live? Who decides that metric? Right? In the past, people used to live a good life, die at a good age. Now we keep extending their age by doing medical interventions. Is that a good thing? I don't know. So what I don't like to do is build these firm views. I'm just saying, if we want prosperity, ये करना पड़ेगा. If you want six-pack, ये करना पड़ेगा. Should we want six-pack? I don't know. Should we want prosperity? I don't know. Should we want success? I don't know. What I know, if you want this, you have to do this.
But when you ask people, they all say they all want everything.
Yeah, but they don't want to do anything about it. That's the change we have to do. Yeah. And it's okay to not want some of these things. I know many people who are like very clear, nahi chahiye sab cheez.
Which is great.
Which is great.
Problem is when the ambition that comes out of mouth doesn't match
Let's
their
take an
action.
example, right? We get super offended when somebody talks about working more hours. Why? आप मत करो.
Yeah.
Why get offended by somebody telling you to work harder?
जिसको करना है करेगा.
जिसको करना है करेगा, नहीं करना नहीं करो.
Why do you think people get offended when they talk about?
Because when people get offended, it's usually coming from a place where they know there is some truth to it. Offense doesn't come when there is absence of truth. For example, if we remark to somebody that this don't even feel is 1% true, we're less likely to get a reaction out of that. If the person is saying that the country is not going to get prosperous, for example, let's talk about work from home for us. The whole work-life balance situation right now. हम बोलते हैं कि अच्छी बात है, right? हम बोलते हैं 5 days a week होना चाहिए, बढ़िया बात है. पर जो कंट्री में 5 days a week है, उसमें हमको वहाँ पे 25 दिन हॉलीडे होती है फर्स्ट फेस्टिवल की. ये तो किसी ने पूछा नहीं. So then, are we being selective? I am very happy if we take the Western thing and we take all of it then. हम selectively लेंगे कि 5 days a week, but we will not say हमारी जो 15-20 छुट्टियाँ और होती है, वो शायद नहीं होती वर्ल्ड में.
True.
वहाँ पे लंबी छुट्टियाँ लेके people don't go to some distant relative's wedding. People don't take 15 days break for their brother or sister's wedding. So we tend to get confused through selective data.
And then there's some truth to it, so we get offended.
Yeah. For example, if you ask most Indians, are we the best culture in the world? Most people will say yes. But if you ask them, how many other cultures have you visited and studied? उसका आंसर नहीं मिलेगा आपको. पर आप बोल दो कि इंडियन कल्चर इज नॉट ग्रेट, तो ऑफेंड हो जाएगा. तो दैट्स व्हाई ट्रूथ सीकिंग रिमूव्स ऑफेंस.
Do you think in general are we becoming more offensive?
We're becoming sensitive because we have this concept. I have said this multiple times that when you build reputation before substance, you will get offended very fast, right? And younger people have that unique problem that they are designed to get offended because of their world that they create around them.
This 2,000 people liking world.
Yeah. And but if you say क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है?
You said one of the best things which I think you've said it to me was most of the young people are worried about the reputation they don't have. Beautiful. Like so true. Why did you say that? And what do you think? What did you observe?
No, because the same thing. No, they are like worried about how they look, what their image is, their brand, their all of that stuff. And I'm like, nobody cares about these things eventually. And like, you're worried about these things. And I think that reputation prevents them from learning more things because they're worried about their image too much. Right? For example, I see the generation seeking the least amount of help from people because I'll look small if I ask for help. So their growth is stopped. They're finding it much more comfortable to ask ChatGPT. But some help is better to be asked by a person.
Yeah.
But you don't see them seeking help. It's like, oh, I have to be like, maintain my aura.
So they assure failure in private because they don't want to be seen asking for help. Why is this happening? Because ये तो हमेशा होता होगा ना?
नहीं, सोशल मीडिया पहले कहाँ था यार?
बट सबको एक छोटा अपना जो वर्ल्ड होता है
उसके बाद तो it was easy. It's a high touch world, no? See, these 2,000 people you're not in touch with, they don't know you. They know your image about you. They have a brand perception about you. They don't know you.
Yeah.
So you want to maintain that image.
पहले भी तो ये लोग क्या कहेंगे was the thing.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Those are the exact people who find it hard to ask for help. What I'm saying is that it's so much more now.
Now. पहले वो 50 लोगों के सामने होता था. Now it's.
अब तो पूरा image ही बन गया पूरा.
How do we break out of this? क्योंकि किसी के लिए reputation, let's say for
I
what.
think you'll rarely see success in people who have stopped caring about shame. Shameless तो बहुत important ingredient है.
I believe.
जब you reached out for the podcast for the first time to me, you didn't care. You were just shameless enough to ping.
Yeah.
I said yes. I didn't know whatever. For example, I remember like I discovered so much later कि वो collaboration हो सकता है Instagram में. I didn't care about all these things. Like I was like, okay, sure, do it. Like, and what I discovered is that people who reached out were shameless, got the benefit of that. Now I'll be more selective about who reaches out and who I'll say yes to or not say yes to. But earlier you were shameless enough to reach out. You got that. You said I got the highest views for you initially, and that was great. What if you had not reached out? Thinking that, what if he says no? I'm sure people have said no to you in the beginning. How many people said no to you in the beginning?
First 200 guess, nobody came. 200 first वाला random इंसान आया था.
Perfect. So, but तुमने give up तो नहीं किया ना? Shame तो नहीं रखा. But most people don't get to 200. And shamelessness.
But उसमें shame है क्या? मतलब.
See, that's what I'm saying. For most people, there's a huge shame. Rejection is a huge shame. Being left on red is huge shame for people. Why do people talk about it? Red zone. Don't double text. ये कहाँ से आता है? You ask any young person, double texting is almost a sin for them.
But on maybe.
You'll be surprised. Ask the younger team members.
Like scene zone, right? Like the red
scene zone, red zone. Double texting. Ask the younger people in your team.
Like, will you double text?
Yeah. Or how do you perceive somebody who double texts?
How do they perceive if you're fast?
You should check. Like desperate. Like, इसका मतलब.
इसमें कुछ नहीं.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
Who makes these rules though?
Insecurities. Human insecurities. All rules, all of these come from human insecurities.
See, I believe you need to be shameless. That is so true. Everybody needs to be shameless in order to win. But
what
the shame
percent of people
threshold is...
No, shameless is a binary term.
Like what we are talking about is, I would never even think that this is shameful. Reaching out to somebody on an email or Instagram
not
or whatever.
Not for everyone. Not for everyone. Okay, I'm going to do a thought experiment with you. A lot of team members are outside. हम एक experiment करेंगे. All of them have to act like a beggar on the street, and whoever gets 100 rupees wins a big prize. How many people will agree to this experiment? Number 2, how many people will be able to pull this off? Number 3, how would they think about themselves? Some people, बिल्कुल shameless है वो तो, you can already identify which 4-5 people will just go and get the 100 rupees also.
कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
Exactly.
Like I know you would go, I would go. Like zero. There's nothing in it. It's just
exactly. But it's not
like
easy.
It's a good story to tell. Fucking
yeah, I've done it once in college as a bet.
Yeah. So shame is directly.
It's preventing success for sure.
True. And if you won't be shameless, you won't get the opportunity that you want. You won't get the girl that you want. You won't get any level of success that you're actually looking out for.
Anything.
What's the level of shame which is accepted or not? Is there some line to it?
I don't think so.
Just be shameless.
There is no such thing.
Because there has to be some thin line, right? Like not be...
See, means saying, oh, you became creepy is a very different thing.
Yeah. Would you be offended if somebody reaches out to you 20 times?
No. Absolutely not. Why would I be offended by that?
Like you're just like, what the fuck? Like you'll block that person. Like, bhai, irritate kyun kar raha hai? Because you didn't reply once or you didn't reply
but,
twice.
But most people have no craft in reaching out to you. Right? They don't establish the value that they provide to you. They send the same text. Like, for example, a lot of people, I guess, if you see most people's DMs of thing, hi, hello, hey, hello, like, wahi likh raha hai. Like, nobody's saying anything more. So that's the...
And how do you get over, let's say a lot of people would reach out to a lot of people.
That's what I'm saying. We have to establish value. Why would somebody give time, attention? Most people underestimate that.
This also goes back to the school years, right? We are not taught to date. We are not taught to approach. We are not taught to sell ourselves. We're not taught to actually go out and get people.
Same thing,
right? So same opportunities.
Like the whole thing, not like, what is this whole, like this thing that, like Zakir as a comedian talks about, Sakht Londa, what is that? Is this, no?
Is this? Don't go out alone.
Like, I can't ask. How? I got to maintain my...
How can somebody break out of this?
By accepting that there is success outside this.
Because I'm trying to go to my life and thinking about...
But you'll see many people who come from business families are not naturally less... See, look at all the people who are misbehaving at the airport are usually from business families. चिल्ला रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं.
Shame नहीं है.
Shame ही थोड़ा कम होता है.
हाँ, because मेरे में कोई shame, like I'm thinking कि कब shame आया और कब shamelessness आई.
Yeah.
I've always
you would have probably got more shame in Bombay than where you are originally from.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because you're like, oh, you can't behave this way.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So the only way it is just mentally you have to tell yourself that, okay, there's success on the other side. And that's it. There's no other way for me to do it.
Yeah. But you have to be crafty about it. You can't just like, oh, मैं 20,000 message करूँगा इसको. Then you will get blocked.
Yeah.
For example, let's talk about dating scenario only. What does this person want in their life? For example, let's say I'm reaching out to an investor. 20 बार भेजता हूँ email मेरा pitch का. If you do not take any effort to find out what kind of stuff this person is likely to react to, उस पे homework 0. But everything else, so I'll just do 25 बार email भेजता हूँ. Same thing in dating. If you do not know what this person is expecting,
randomly you'll text.
so you will just say hello, hi. It doesn't work.
And you usually know what homework to do. There's no...
Usually people who are interested to really get it right, they will do the homework.
They'll figure out a way.
Or find out कि नहीं होने वाला है यहाँ पे. तो नहीं करता.
True.
That's the way to think about it.
Yeah. You said Sakht Londa. Let this be the last question. You said, actually second last. Okay. You said Sakht Londa, alpha male, if you want to put it. What's alpha male according to you?
No, sorry. I don't think Sakht Londa is alpha model. I think someone like Zakir does a fantastic job to actually make this into a humorous take to this, that it's almost a problematic / insecure version of somebody to pretend to be this person, right? And he's also kind of giving the other side to explain the nuance of what really it means internally to feel that way. But I think the whole thing around alpha, whatever, I remember asking this question to Karan Johar once at one of the events I hosted is, hey, why are these movies doing big success? And he's like, Kunal, this has happened every decade. This whole angry young man of different type has come back again and again in different forms. It's existed from the beginning. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It's just that we feel this every now and then because it's almost a cycle that repeats. Right? So I think anything that is different for society's norm gets attention. Then again, it becomes normal. Then we'll again have somebody who's loving and like this loving personality will again win. So it will be a cycle. It's the same thing. Humans are very predictable that way. Fashions have exactly the same cycles.
Yeah.
These things of expecting personalities to be in cycle. Same thing continues.
But what's your definition of alpha male?
I don't think there is. I think to me, these are more biology definitions versus human definitions. In biology, it's very simple that somebody who has more success to get resources or mating success is known to be alpha, right? But human life doesn't work that way. We are not like some animals living in some jungle that we have to create this particular thing. So leadership is natural. For example, it's very simple. Like leadership to me is followership, right? If somebody creates followership, people would follow them, do something because they said something. That's leadership. It's alpha, beta, gamma, theta. I don't understand all stuff. Leadership, followership is very simple. And followership doesn't mean I follow somebody because of their humor. That's not followership. Followership means agar bola to kiya.
How influential you are.
Influential to make somebody make sacrifices. Not watch a reel just because you send them. That's not influence.
All attempts to differentiate end up becoming attempts to belong.
Yeah, that's a pattern I observed, is that look at all the Gen Z who decide to not post anything. They only have highlights sometimes and no posts. Like that's their thing.
Yeah.
They did that to differentiate with older people. But now all Gen Zs do it.
But somebody must have started the trend. Now that person must be feeling significant in their head.
Yeah. So I think all attempts to differentiate becomes an attempt to belong eventually.
Nice. Okay, last again, sorry. But resourceful people create more wealth than insightful people. You need to explain me this. What do you mean by resourceful people? What do you mean by insightful people? And why one over other?
So insightful people tend to know why things work the way they work. They have good, efficient methods to understand the reasons behind stuff. But resourceful people are actually the people who... So if you'll see, many people in small towns who make a lot of wealth are not very insightful people. They're just very good at making money. They're very resourceful. What I mean by resourceful is like, if you tell them, sir, ये एक problem हो गया है, मुझे ये country का visa नहीं मिल रहा है, then the resourceful person comes to help, not an insightful person.
Yeah. मैं करवाता हूँ ना.
हाँ, करवाता हूँ ना. और some people who say ये कर देगा, ये figure out कर लेगा. Think about your own team members also. You will see that the insightful people are not the one you rely on. The resourceful people you rely on.
True.
So there is a difference between the two. Like if you are not the type that खो जाएगा. And all of us know this type of people.
Yeah.
Who will we call if you got stuck with police or legal issues or some challenge or some topic or some help, some person you know कि यार ये तो
करवाई देगा.
The right person. And they're not most insightful people. They just get stuff done. They don't think in obstacles. They think in outcomes.
Is there a way to become resourceful?
I think first is removing your shame, reluctance, resistance, and just being there. And just happening to the world. See, there is two types of people. People who happen to the world and people, and the second type is where world happens to them. If you are the first type, you are resourceful.
You need to be valuable to the world.
No, you need to happen to the world. Like you change the world, you shape the world, you make things happen, you get stuff done, you don't worry about obstacles, your existence creates change.
Are you that in even the smallest room?
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
It just gets
and boy,
bigger
people
and
do
bigger.
well in life. And most people, stuff happens to them.
Yeah. They just live.
Yeah, they are perpetual, somewhat of a sufferer of the world.
True. Love it. Thank you so much. It was pleasure having you again. At one
My
point,
pleasure.
I'll have you again whenever next time you're ready. It's always good to talk to you.
How are you doing? Good, man. I was just telling Vaishnavi that going to young people's office is like going to a rap. Here are our courts, break the case, tick. Stay one.
It works. It works. It works for us.
I know. I'll reach out to you because people need to appreciate what the hell has happened. And business folks need to treat this into a very serious business podcast versus like some motivational stuff. It's like, boss, it's hardcore. It's not some के उठ के
कुछ भी कर
बातचीत कर रहा है, right?
हाँ, because there is lot of serious juice which goes on.
No, there is no fucking way you're gonna get this kind of numbers by just like being a child doing stuff. There's some serious athlete stuff going on over here.
थैंक यू सो मच ये एपिसोड एंड तक देखने के लिए. अब आपको पता है आपको 3 चीज़ें करनी है. सबसे पहले इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि इसी तरह हम और भी वैल्यूएबल गेस्ट लाते रहें. नंबर 2, मुझे कमेंट्स में बताओ कि इस एपिसोड में आपको क्या अच्छा लगा और कौन से ऐसे गेस्ट हैं जो आप देखना चाहते हो हम इस एपिसोड में, इस पॉडकास्ट में लेके आए. एंड ये एपिसोड किसी एक इंसान के साथ ज़रूर शेयर करना जिसको अपनी लाइफ में इससे कुछ बेटर चेंज करने का मौका मिलेगा, क्योंकि एक कॉन्वर्जेशन कैन चेंज समवन्स लाइफ. आई विल सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम. अंटिल देन कीप फिगरिंग आउट.